All right. Hello out there in social media land. We are getting ready to go live. I am just about, let's go live on Instagram. And I think I figured out the Facebook group thing. I think I can't switch away from the tab. Every time I switch over to another tab, it disconnects. So let's hope, fingers crossed. Oh, I got to type a title. Book Tour Day 2. Meet the authors and get the book at innerrevolutionbook.com. Seems like there's always one thing that we forget to do before we go live, right? I forgot to type a description and a title. All right. Hopefully we're live. Fingers crossed. Pray to the social media gods. If it says video starting, nope, video source disconnected. All right, well, we're not going to be live in the Facebook group again. That's just the way it's going to have to be. But that's all right. Hey, Kayla, if you get a chance, will you go on my personal Facebook and share the live stream into the members only group so they can see it inside there? Otherwise, we're going to get started. Hey, my name is Michael Stevenson. I am the co-founder with my wife, Kayla, of the Authority Alliance Publishing. And now I've got pop-ups coming up saying that my stream isn't working. Gotta love technology every time. So I am the co-founder with my wife, Kayla, of Authority Alliance Publishing, where we take thought leaders, coaches, consultants, business owners, and we highlight their messages along with their audience. And so we're here this weekend promoting the brand new book, Inner Revolution, Embracing Change to Achieve Greatness. And this is a book that I co-authored along with 20 of my other co-authors. And this book is absolutely amazing. If you love personal development books, if you like inspiration and motivation, we are currently number 3 right now in the category of neurolinguistic programming. I think we're number 36 in the category of motivation. We are heading up to number 1. That's our goal today. And so today is day 2 of our virtual book launch. We are launching this book right here, Inner Revolution, Embracing Change to Achieve Greatness. This is a wonderfully inspirational book. Again, a collaboration between myself and 20 other authors. My chapter is called Resiliency, the Key to Achievement. And this book is all about getting out of your comfort zone, right? Embracing change. See, most people think that the brain is hardwired to not want to change. As a matter of fact, there's a woman out there that wrote a whole book about how your brain hates change. And I always say to people, hey, if you woke up this morning and there was $1 million in your bank account that wasn't there yesterday, would you hate that? People go, no. If you woke up this morning, you stepped on the scale and you were down 20 pounds, would you hate that? No. If you woke up this morning, maybe you're single, right? You woke up this morning and somebody asked you out on a date who was really cute and you liked them. Would you hate that? No. Nobody hates change. That's not what people hate. Right? But there is a tiny part in the brain, which some people call the reptilian brain. It's the oldest evolutionary part of the brain that can get stuck when it comes to change, when it comes to enacting change, accepting change, getting out of the comfort zone. And so that's what this book is all about. And the book is a collaboration of experts in neurolinguistic programming, coaching, hypnotherapy, emotional freedom techniques, trauma release, business. It's across the board. We have, and matter of fact, one of the reviews that was left for us, matter of fact, several of the reviews actually said this, that, most of the time when you get a book, you're only getting the one sort of opinion of the author. And what people are liking about this book is that there are 21 different things. And even though a lot of us are trained in the same disciplines like neurolinguistic programming, everybody has their own take on it. Everybody has their own way of thinking about it, their own experiences. My past experiences shape the way that I think about the mind and think about change. And so I tell a little bit of my story in here and I give some practical tips. Now, here's the really cool thing is that when you buy this book today, and today is the last day, this is a 2-day launch, right? We launched yesterday, and then today is the last day. If you buy this book before 11:59 p.m. tonight, then what you're going to get is $1,000 in gifts from myself and the other authors. The book is just $6.89. We actually made the book the cheapest that we could make it for the launch. We actually don't even make any money on the book. That's how cheap we made it, right? The only people who are making money on the book are Amazon, right? Now, don't go to Amazon and buy it because you won't get the launch gifts, right? The $1,000 in gifts, in order to get that, what you have to do is go to www.innerrevolutionbook.com. Don't worry, you're still going to buy it on Amazon. You're still going to be able to use your Prime and get free shipping if you've got Prime. But you have to follow some specific steps to do that and make sure that you get the $1,000 in launch gifts. So make sure that you go to this website, innerrevolutionbook.com. And just click on the green button that says get it now, and then follow the directions there. You have to do it before 11:59 p.m. Pacific tonight. Okay. And again, when you do that, you're going to forward your Amazon receipt over to us at our email address. And then our team is going to forward you the links to access all of the gifts. Now, here's the cool part. Not only do you get $1,000 in launch gifts, and we've all put together, very valuable gifts. For example, my launch gift is a course that I've never released. I created the course specifically for this book. And the course is called Step Out of Your Comfort Zone, The Key to Achieving Greatness. And one of the things that I talk about, because I've noticed this a lot, especially in the last few years, is that a lot of people are not stepping out of their comfort zone. Right. And I think maybe COVID had a lot to do with that, right? People sort of got used to people, we put this big dimple in our couches, and people just sort of got used to being stuck on the couch and not doing much. And I'm noticing this across the board. It's not just average people, but even people like coaches who should know better. They should know to get out of their comfort zone and take massive action. But a lot of people aren't. And I think it's really one of the biggest reasons why so many people are unhappy in their life. See, the thing about the comfort zone, even though it's called comfort, it's not called the happy zone, right? A lot of people have become very comfortable being unhappy. They've become very comfortable being complacent. They've become very comfortable living a mediocre life. My view on this is that I don't think that we were put here to live a mediocre life. I think it makes zero sense whether you believe in God, universe, source, or just random acts of, physics creating us. It makes no sense in any of those narratives that you came here and were put here or, manifested here in some way to live a mediocre life, to just pay bills and die. You were meant to, as Steve Jobs put it, leave an indelible mark on the earth that said you were here. My goal, my mission in this life is to change the world one person at a time. And I think by accomplishing this mission, it's going to leave an indelible mark on the earth that said Michael Stevenson was here, right? And I know, part of my goal is that our companies like Transform Destiny outlive me, right? They go well beyond me and continue to help people and change lives. But I couldn't do that without getting out of my comfort zone, right? I had to step out of my comfort zone. Now, one of the reasons why I step out of my comfort zone so much is a word called resilience. And that's a word, I think that's an embodiment that a lot of people don't have these days. One of the things that you find, and one of our co-authors, Shreve, talked about this yesterday, right? Shreve lost his leg. And while he was in a coma, his family had to make the difficult decision to either let him die or amputate his leg. And of course, they chose to amputate his leg. And he's very grateful for that to this day. But that created a lot of resilience for him. I was raised in a very traumatic childhood, right? With a lot of abuse and neglect and poverty. And that created a lot of resilience for me. I was homeless at 19 years old. That created resilience for me. I had to learn how to fend for myself with no roof over my head, no money, no family. And that created resilience. And the thing is, like, when you look at people who've been through hardship in their life, they tend to be very resilient people, right? I take big, huge risks. That's why I'm successful in business, massive risks. And people will ask me sometimes, didn't that scare you? And the answer is no, because, man, I've been through so much. Like, what's going to hurt me, right? I've survived it all, right? But here's the thing. What if you haven't been through adversity? What if you didn't grow up with a narcissistic parent or a parent with a personality disorder? What if you weren't abused? What if you didn't grow up on the wrong side of the tracks? What if you didn't have poverty when you were a child, right? What if maybe nothing bad has ever really happened to you? How do you get resilience? And that's what my chapter is all about, right? If you look at other people and you go, wow, they're so strong. I wish I was that strong. my chapter's the chapter to read. Well, all of the chapters are the chapter to read, but that's the first chapter in the book, right? It's called Resilience, the Key to Achieving Greatness. And I talk about in here how you don't have to have gone through, awful things in order to be a strong person. You can actually develop that and in some ways borrow resilience from other people. And so that's the chapter in the book. And then again, when you buy the book today before 11:59 p.m. Pacific, you're also going to get my companion course that goes along with it, which is called Step Out of Your Comfort Zone. We don't want to step into the comfort zone. Too many people do that. Step out of your comfort zone, a key to achieving greatness. And I go through, number one, what is the comfort zone? Because a lot of people don't know what the comfort zone is, and they don't realize they're living in it. Sort of like, how they say a fish doesn't know they're in water because they've never been outside of the water to experience that there's such a thing as water. It's just their environment. And I think a lot of times people are in their comfort zones and they don't realize it. And then they go, why don't I have a good life? Why isn't my life, amazing? Oh, somebody just told me that YouTube isn't live right now. Give me 1 second. It says it's scheduled and I'm live. Uh-oh. Here's what I'm going to do. Oh no, I can't delete it because it's scheduled. Uh-oh. Let me, while I'm glad this came up before we started our first interview with our first author. Let me double check this right here. And there's Kayla called me. Hey, sweetie.
I checked that you're live.
Oh, okay. I'm live. Thanks. Kayla says I'm live. Jonathan, if, he says it's working now. Cool. Oh, thank you so much. Hypno Yoga. I'm assuming that says yoga and it's cut off. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. So, here's the thing, right? We got to get out of our comfort zones. That's where all the great things that you want in life are. Anything that you don't yet have in your life that you want is outside of your comfort zone. Because if it was comfortable and easy and you really wanted it, you'd have it already, right? So we've got to learn to get out of the comfort zone. So I talk about, number one, what the comfort zone is, so you know if you're stuck in it or not. I talk about how we get stuck there, how to recognize you're stuck, and most importantly, I tell you how to get unstuck, how to actually get out of your comfort zone. And one of the things I did is I identified the top 60 limiting beliefs that hold people back and keep people stuck. Now, you likely, if you have some of these limiting beliefs, you don't know their beliefs. You just think they're reality, because this is how limiting beliefs work, right? The function of limiting beliefs is limiting beliefs happen deep inside of our mind, and then we project those beliefs out onto the world, and we see them, we experience them as actual reality. So, for example, one person could be standing next to a swimming pool and go, "That's dangerous. Swimming pools are dangerous. People drown," right? And that is, to that person, that's real. That's reality. They don't recognize that that's a limiting belief. Whereas you could have another person with an enabling belief and they come along and they go, "Hey, that swimming pool looks fun. Let's jump in," right? And that person has an enabling belief about the pool. What is the pool, by the way? The pool is nothing. The pool is information. It's literally a big bucket of water. And so the question is, if you have one person that looks at the pool and says that pool is danger, it is dangerous, and the other person says that pool is fun, who's right? And the fact is, if you study the mind, you study neurolinguistic programming the way that I do, part of neurolinguistic programming is studying the idea that we live in a subjective reality. There is no such thing as an objective reality that everyone can look at and point at and say the same thing. I know we all think that reality is real. We all think that we're just observing what's out there as reality, but that's not the way that reality works. We collect data, information from the outside world into our minds, and our minds construct reality. So when two people are looking at the pool and one's saying danger and the other saying fun, who's right? There's no way to tell who's right, because in each of their model of the worlds, they are absolutely right because they're looking at what's reality and just pointing it out and commenting on it. They don't know that they're making that up from their beliefs. So they're both simultaneously right. They're also both simultaneously wrong, because the pool is neither fun nor danger. The pool is what you make of the pool. And the same thing is true of life. When you look around in your life, there are limiting beliefs that you think are just your reality. Not just your reality, you think are reality around you. And those hold you back. And so one of the things I did is I identified the 60 most common limiting beliefs that keep people stuck in their comfort zone. I give you a way to rank them and rate them so that you know if they're affecting you. And then I give you a step-by-step process for releasing those limiting beliefs. Now, I don't sell this course. I just created this course specifically for this book launch. It's not available anywhere else. The only way that you can get this course is by buying the book for $6.89 today by 11:59 p.m. You buy it tomorrow, you won't get the course or any of the other bonuses. Got to get it today for $6.89. If I were to release this course and sell it, I would sell it for $147 and people would buy it and it'd be worth it. And so if you want to get that, go to www.innerrevolutionbook.com. Do it now before you forget, because if you forget, you can try to come back tomorrow. All you're going to get is a book for $6.89. Actually, one of the cool things, right? We're giving away $1,000 in launch gifts with this book. But the other thing is that when you read the chapters, at the end of every chapter, in every author's bio, there's another gift in there. And those gifts are all valued at $50 a piece. So there's actually another $1,000 worth of gifts just in the chapters themselves where the bios are. So technically, for $6.89 today, you're getting two $1,000 worth of gifts. All right, I am excited to bring on our first co-author, and this is Isabella Godinez. And Isabella is a trainer of neurolinguistic programming, clinical hypnotherapy, and coaching with 2 years of professional experience holding board certifications from the International Board of Coaches and Practitioners. She specializes in assisting students through transitional phases and improving parent-child communications. Drawing from her own life experiences as the creator of NLP With Me, she empowers clients to communicate effectively and achieve their goals confidently. Her compassionate approach enhances self-esteem and helps individuals feel positive about their actions and identities. In Isabella's chapter, which is called From Anxiety to Adventure, she shares her personal journey of overcoming anxiety and transforming her mindset. After realizing that her test anxiety was rooted in past experiences with authority figures, she worked with a life coach and utilized time techniques to address her challenges. Isabella emphasizes the importance of shifting perspectives and setting specific goals, leading her to pursue her passion for helping others through coaching and NLP. Her story culminates in achieving her dream of living a van life, demonstrating how stepping outside of one's comfort zone can lead to personal growth and adventure. That's something I can absolutely relate to, as Kayla and I were homeless, the good kind of homeless, for 4.5 years, traveling the world full time. And so I love this story. Isabella, welcome.
Hello, thank you.
I'm glad you're here. So start off by telling us what inspired you to join this book and to write your chapter.
So to start, I knew at some point, like just having done stuff in my life and working on things, that there would be a time my great aunt actually wrote an autobiography for her life, just sharing about it, because as she got older, there were things she didn't really remember. So I'd love to know about her beginning years and the life that she lived and whatnot. And so I started writing my autobiography. And I think a lot of people know how it goes when we try to start writing a book. It's not necessarily the most effective way. Like we set higher expectations for ourselves than we can really put in the day. And then we end up not doing it. So when I found the book opportunity, I was like, this is definitely something that not only one will help me learn how to do my autobiography, but it's with other people. It's with someone that I trained with. And I just felt like there were a ton of really good opportunities to get out of it in terms of just like me being connected to all of these people as well in some way. Yeah, I did some of this, but all of these other people did this for themselves as well. And that's kind of awesome.
I love it. That's great. So in your chapter, you talk a lot about anxiety and understanding the root of anxiety and overcoming it through mindset shifts and coaching. Can you share how to identify the root causes of anxiety and how your personal transformation, what steps you took in order to overcome that?
So me personally, I would say like the first time I remember like it coming into effect 1,000% was in the book. I was driving through the rain and I hated it at the time. I was not confident. I hadn't done it alone. And I'm sitting there, I'm like this close to the wheel, I'm shaking, and I'm like, there's nobody else here to help me. So what do I need to do? And I was just like, okay, well, me thinking about crashing and hydroplaning and worrying about everything that I am afraid of, like given the reason that I started this using time techniques, I feel like I'm able to go back and remember like, oh, where could this have come from, knowing that I'm afraid of driving in the rain or being in the rain driving. So I can kind of like ask myself that first question and realize, oh, I was on my way to a soccer practice, and my friend's brother was driving and was a really bad driver in my opinion, and like slammed on his brakes in the rain. And like that one time, I just always thought we were going to crash. So after that, I'm like, I've hated using the brakes. And after that, I was like, that one time in the car freaking out about it, I was like, okay, well, freaking out about it isn't going to do anything. I can either focus on what I don't want to happen or see what I do want to happen. And I was playing it out in my head, like one step at a time. I was like, I see my blinker. I turn my blinker on. I see myself getting in like the other lane. I get in the other lane. And like, as silly as it was the first time I did it, I watched it play out and I got there safely. I'm like, okay, this is what I need to do. I also not only need to not worry about what I was worrying about, I need to think about what it is like I am trying to find, or what outcome I do want to look forward to getting to.
I love it. So go into that a little bit more. You know, one of the things you talk about is SMART goals. And I think a lot of times when people think of goal setting, they think of, okay, well, I'm going to get a notebook. I'm going to open it up. I'm going to write what I want in the notebook. And then the notebook's going to go on a shelf and I'm going to forget about it and I won't achieve what I want. That's how most people think of goals, right? Is these things that they wanted that never came to fruition. So how is it different with SMART goals? And how does that play into overcoming anxiety?
So SMART goals, I would say that one has shocked me, not only because I have done multiple, like I would say my trainings on that topic. I would say it's helped in a numerous amount of ways. One, we don't put dates on our goals. So like I knew I wanted to travel. I had no idea when I wanted to do that, where I wanted to do that, any details. And then COVID happened and it kind of just, you make decisions based off of other things happening in your life. And that was kind of what I realized in that moment, that like, because something happened, I chose to do something else with my life. But I was like, well, technically anyone could choose to do that at any point, as long as like we're acknowledging it and seeing what we want and then just making the decision. So like my first Nomad van event, I had been wanting to go for like months, and it was kind of freaking me out because I'm like, I'm ready. I think I want to go. I know what I need to do. I just had never been. So like there's no way to fully prepare for something that you haven't done before. And that was one of my things, is like I didn't want to take off for something or do something without having all the details and all the plans and everything prepared that I could possibly have prepared. And I think given how specific the SMART goals get you, that gives you enough detail, and you don't have to get too specific to where like it has to drive you crazy. You just need a date. You have to know the outcome you want and then figure out something to do to get there, and like making sure that it's just positive and there are things that you can do about it. So I always like, I've been telling my friends a lot more, and even some of my family, I'm like, when something comes up, like instead of telling me what the problem is and like why it's a problem and everything about the problem, I'm like, start giving me solutions. Like if this is the problem, instead of saying like, oh, we can't do this, I'll be like, we could do this instead. Like just start with the solution instead of like honestly giving the problem any weight, because it's not like that's going to help you. So
Right. I love it. That's such a better way of thinking about things, right? Is let's start with the solution instead of obsessing about the problem. And I love, you know, the twist that NLP puts on goals, which, you know, you'll have to read Isabella's chapter. If you've heard of SMART goals before from like the 70s, they're so much better now, right? NLP has added some twists to it and some things that make it really powerful, which Isabella talks about in her chapter. So one of the things you talk about is getting out of your comfort zone, that's something I absolutely love. You know, as I said, I traveled, Kayla and I traveled almost 5 years full time, living in hotels, which gave a lot of other people anxiety, but we got out of our comfort zone. You're talking about living van life. What advice would you give to those people who are hesitant to step out of their comfort zone? Because, you know, most people would say, if I have anxiety, stepping out of my comfort zone gives me anxiety. So how is it that stepping out of the comfort zone is actually an answer to anxiety?
I think it's a mix of things. Well, me personally, with the nomad community, is like I knew I was going to be scared of it. I was afraid, and it was something that, even though there were so many like scary thoughts that came up with it, it was still something where like you make a pro and con list. Like there were a lot of things that would come up that were scaring me about it, but it was as I was thinking about all the exciting things that I would get to do. It's like I get to make all these friends. Oh no, I have to drive alone by myself and possibly sleep somewhere by myself. And so I would just say it kind of allowed me to jump into it a lot sooner. So if there's a way, you know, if there's something that you know you want to do, I would say like give yourself a week to plan the day you're going to do it and how you're going to do it and what you're going to do about it, and like what the thing is that you are wanting to do or overcome, and then just give yourself that week to figure out anything you can about it, but you already have the date down. So regardless of how prepared you are, like, you know, when it is, you've given yourself enough time, and you're either going to choose to get stuff done and do it, or choose to not get stuff ready and do it anyway, and then see what you need to do and move forward. Because that's what van life did for me 1,000%, is like, I knew I was going into all these uncomfortable things. And not only did I know I was going into it, it gave me like 100 of those things at the same time, which is, I mean, even more shocking. It's like, you know, going into something that makes you uncomfortable or anxious is going to be like that. And when you can acknowledge and see after that, like, not only was that something you were uncomfortable with, but now how I look at it is like, once you've overcome it, you look back at it and you almost don't believe that it was something that you could have been afraid of or should have maybe wanted to be afraid of, because you did it and now it's something you're comfortable with. I cannot hear you. I don't know if it's just me.
Oh, sorry. And that's the thing, is that a lot of times when people think about getting out of their comfort zones, that's the thing that gives them fear. But what they don't realize is that every time you step out of your comfort zone expands, right? And so, you know, the first time that you drive out in a van and you're not sure where you're going to go yet, and you don't know where you're going to sleep yet, it's probably terrifying. But then when you do it, the second day you do it, it's maybe scary. And the third day you do it, it's maybe concerning. And the fourth day you do it, now it's like, it's just something that you do. It's just like going to the gym. The first time that you lift, you know, those barbells, it's going to hurt like crap and you're going to be sore for 3 days. But the next time you do it, it's going to get a little bit better. The time after that, it's going to do better. And so I think a lot of this, you know, the fear of getting out of the comfort zone that people have is like, well, the solution to the fear of getting out of the comfort zone is to get out of the comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
I actually do have a kind of not question, comment, storyish on that kind of fear thing.
Mhm.
Is actually recently, this last trip that I just went on, I went out to Joshua Tree and made a bunch of new friends for Vansgiving, and a lot of them climb. I think I've made it clear, afraid of heights, so I don't love to do climbing stuff. I've gone ziplining, I've done a lot of things, and I still very much say that I am afraid of heights to some extent, even though I do things like that.
Mhm.
And so I thought it was funny because there's a group of people going climbing. I'm like, okay, I'm going. Like, I know I'm scared. I know these are things that are going to bother me and whatnot, but I'm like, I'm going. Whether I climb or not, like, at least I'm still putting myself like a step closer to being able to do that. Everybody has equipment. People know how to do it safely. And so I get there and I end up doing it. And this whole time, like, same thing, how I go into presentations. Like, even though I'm scared and even though I'm crapping myself politely because I'm very scared of climbing or speaking, I'm doing it. And I don't, like, my legs are shaking, I'm sweating, I'm very physically anxious about it, but my mind is making the decision, like, you're going to overcome it, whether you're afraid of it or not. Like, you're going to do it, you're going to do something about it. And I was even happy if I didn't make it all the way to the top. I was like, at least I climbed, because this is something like I never probably saw myself doing ever. And so just to know, like, I was going to have hopefully a picture to show my mom or to see for myself. And like, because I had always been afraid of heights and thinking about it like that, I never stopped to think about what climbing really was. And then after the fact, when I had done it, I was like, I was a freaking mountain goat. Like, the ropes only help you if you fall. We as humans literally climb the sides of mountains and rocks. And I was like I never understood that, because I was just always worried about falling and what it was. But I'm like, we're that awesome. We're climbing rocks. So it's pretty interesting.
I love it. So Isabella, if people want to connect with you or follow you or maybe even work with you one-on-one, what is the best way for them to do that?
You can reach out to me at nlpwithme.us. That's my website. And then any social media platform, you're welcome to reach out. Also NLP with me. And if you say that you got the book on one of these days and have a picture of it with any of the goodies, then we can definitely get some kind of discount and see how we can help in your life or anybody you know.
Nice. I love it. And so we've got about a minute left. So tell people, you know, how is it that you help them? Who do you like to work with? How do you help people? What is it that you do in your business?
So specifically when I started, it was more so directed at a younger crowd, because me being someone on the younger age, I like to help people that feel comfortable. My coach was, I want to say, I might be nice, early late 30s, early 40s. And I love her. Like, she's so bubbly. She makes me feel so welcome. And I know a lot of other people, like younger and whatnot, going to therapy or hypnotherapy may not feel as comfortable or connected talking to their coach. And if I can be someone bubbly and comfortable that they do feel like is not, I mean, yes, a friend, but like a friendly face that they could share stuff with, I'd love to be that for them. So younger kids going through transitions, maybe switching schools or moving to a new state, or just after, for me, it was more so coming out of COVID, having social anxiety and just talking to people. And I would say I came back from COVID and I never went back to school in person. So in the past, I would have said my anxiety never got better, but you might never know.
Yeah. I love that you're working with younger people. I think that's so needed right now. And hey, we're promoting the book today, Inner Revolution, Embracing Change to Achieve Greatness. Thank you so much for being here with me, Isabella.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So go to innerrevolutionbook.com to get the book. And while you're doing that, I'm excited to bring on our next author. It's Fernanda Diaz. And Fernanda is an international speaker and a life and business coach with 12 years of experience in empowering leaders and teams. Originally from Ecuador, she has expanded her coaching journey to Mexico, Argentina, and the United States, where she now resides with her husband and 2 sons. She holds numerous certifications, including professional ontological, oh, I have to say that word, professional ontological, thank you, coach, neurolinguistic programming trainer. Fernanda's passion lies in conducting science-based workshops that focus on team building and leadership, helping individuals unlock their potential. In her chapter, which is called Becoming a Proactive Business Owner, Fernanda emphasizes the importance of proactive leadership in business. She highlights that employee engagement is driven more by genuine care and a stable work environment than financial incentives. The chapter outlines strategies for redefining a business's trajectory, focusing on aligning company values, vision, and the mission with operations. Diaz stresses the need for training in both hard and soft skills, fostering employee well-being and involving diverse perspectives in decision-making. She provides practical steps for transitioning from reactive to proactive business management, ultimately creating a more successful and harmonious workplace. Fernanda, welcome.
Thank you for the awesome introduction, Michael.
It's great to have you here. So let's start off by what is it that inspired you to join this book, Inner Revolution, that we're promoting today at innerrevolutionbook.com, and inspired you to write your chapter?
Okay, so it was awesome. This is a cool story I'm going to tell you. So when I was in the starting of the coaching industry, I was into this kind of workshop where I ended up being a butterfly. Why? Because I was going from actually the cocoon and opening my eyes to see a world that it was actually possible for me, that I couldn't believe in the first place. So when you put this out there, I said, I have to be there. This is a calling for me, because this was who I was. I was a person that was an entrepreneurial. I like businesses, but I saw a lot of limitations. I went through the stages of depression and things that were holding me back, until one friend showed up in my life and said, like, you know, it seems like you have everything figured out. What would you take away or change in your life that it will be better? And I said, like, you know what? I have this back and the ups and downs, and depression was there in me. And then he presented me with coaching and transformational coaching, and that's where my life started. So when you posted the cocoon and the butterfly there, it was a calling for me, because I wanted to express what I went through, my journey. And we have always been in a different stage of life. So you can look back and say, like, oh, wow, I have definitely changed and in growth, is because you have worked in yourself. And sometimes life just makes you and pulls you in certain situations where you have no choice but to grow or to dig, right? So we have a choice.
Mm-hmm. I love it. So one of the things you talk about in your chapter is the importance of aligning company values with personal beliefs. So how can business owners effectively identify and integrate their top 3, say, personal values into their company culture?
So that's the most important part of my job, and I really love it when I do it, because when I enter to a company, the first thing I go into is, okay, I really need to hear about what your values are. I hear them and it's like, okay, can I see the values of the company then? Because it starts with the person. I see that an entrepreneur is a whole that is creating something. So anything that goes from you and you create, it's burning in you. So your values has to be completely aligned with the values of the company. And sometimes I see that the values of the company have not even an alignment with the person itself. So that's where my work starts. Because probably when they created the company, sometimes everything that has to do with values, mission, and vision is just like a to-do list, because they really want to sell the product, they really want to get out there, and they don't put a lot of emphasis in there. But then when you start growing and you're like 3 years in the market, 4 years in the market, things are starting look like a flat point. They cannot grow. And then when I start looking into it, it's like, okay, there's not, certain things are not aligned in the proper way. So like what you want as a person is not the same that you want as a company. And how are we going to make this happen? So I start realigning the values of the person and then implementing how it actually is the values of the company. And then we have to see actually the people that are working in your first positions, like the managers, supervisors, and leaders, actually are aligned with those values as well. Otherwise, it takes a lot of work to align those people into your vision, into your mission, because it's not like they're working together like in grain. Basically, it's like a flat. They start like coming into you like with ideas that are so different from you, and that's where meetings don't go anywhere, and there's months and months pass by and you cannot progress because people are not aligned with your values to start with.
And I love that you've worked with so many businesses on this idea of values, because I think you can clear up the misconception that a lot of people have. Most people think if you're a business owner, your only value is, I want to make lots and lots and lots of money. When you've worked with business owners, what kinds of values have you found are part of their value system and the reasons why they started business in the first place?
It's so interesting that you asked that. Thank you, Michael, because I just did a workshop on leadership and we were talking about values. And I did, of course, with the business owner on a side first beginning. So like, okay, I got your values. Let's see what the values of your people are first. Mm-hmm. And the awesome thing is that we saw at the end, their first value is family. So as a business owner, they value family. And all the people that are employed there also value family, which it does change the way you direct things. For example, you will never put a huge meeting or a huge event and an important date for a family day because nobody is going to show up or everybody's going to be miserable. So the moment that you're starting your values, like your personal values towards taking it to your company, and you work with people that are aligned with your values, is so much easier. So it was such a beautiful workshop because we were able to like move forward really fast. Everybody was so connected. And when I saw it's like, yes, everybody has the same values, at least the first three, right? We have like a lot of values, but at least the first three. So when it's time to make decisions, changes, and progress, if we have aligned, like for example, the first one was family, the second one was honesty, like people to be honest, and the third one was like everybody wanted to have fun also, right? So if you wanted honesty, progress, leadership to be part of it, you need to be aligned. And I love it when people are actually like working with people that are aligned. It's like an environment that is almost like, it feels like family. Actually, everybody's happy coming to work and people stay, and you don't have people leaving all the time or just like staying there for money. It's not true. Like people don't stay in a company for a long time for money. They stay because actually if you resonate with it, they put the t-shirt of the company and they are you over there, and you don't have to be worried about it.
Yeah, that's so profound. When people tell me, oh, business owners are just in it for the money, I don't think people realize how hard business is, number one, right? You need a lot of resilience in business, and every business has ups and downs. As a business owner, there have been times when I've had no profit in the business and I've had to dig into my own pockets in order to pay the employees. And if you're a person who's only interested in making lots of money, that business owner gives up during those times. Right. And so when you look at a business that's been in business for years and years and years, generally, I think that person has a good value system because it takes them through those times. There's great ups in business and sometimes there's great downs,
Yeah, that transcending. Exactly what you're saying.
I love in your book that you talk about transitioning from reactive to proactive management means that you train both hard and soft skills. So for the people who don't understand, what are the difference between hard and soft skills, and why would you want to train in those?
Basically, hard skills is what you go to college for, right? You get your degree, you're an engineer, and you know everything about how your system works, and you create the core of your company will be what your service is. That will be your hard. But your soft training has to do with like leadership, how to manage people, how to recognize the value that people brings into the company without the hard part. Yes, it could be like, for example, an awesome engineer, an awesome lawyer, but if that person doesn't have the soft skills as managing people, as managing, bringing it together, and that leadership, that person that has like a great hard skill as an engineer or as a lawyer can actually take your company down, because it can break the core and the sentiment of the people working with them. So sometimes people super focus on hard skills when you're hiring a person, and they don't even see about the soft skills. And yes, of course, you have to be good in what you do. That's the beginning. But the second stage, and sometimes I even see, like, I prefer someone that is not on such a high level on a hard skill, but it has really good leadership, because I can teach him the hard skills. And that's an easy one to teach. But to teach someone about leadership, about values, about what is important in certain things of life and the scale of things is a harder thing to teach, and they have to be willing to teach, to learn.
That's a great point. You talk about in your chapter the importance of having diverse perspectives in decision-making in your business. A lot of business owners, I would say probably most business owners in the world, are solopreneurs, right? They work by themselves. They are the business. And so what steps can a business owner take to have that kind of diversity in their viewpoints and their decision-making when they maybe don't have like a board of directors or a mentor or a coach?
Great. So I talk about that because I see a lot of solo entrepreneurs trying to do everything. And the first big mistake is that we have blind sides. And if there's not a single person next to you telling you, oh, you might not have thought about this, or this might have not worked this way. So the best way to do it, and people are eager to help you, you have to go just look in the right place. So what normally I talk to my solo entrepreneurs is like, okay, if your business is about X, go find the X people that just graduate or are in the last year of their college and offer them like an internship, where it's an unpaid internship, but for them it's a lot of value to have in their curriculum that they work for a person helping them, but also it's so much value for you to see from a young generation what is going on, what the market needs, what is their language of communication, what is the schedule of that they like to do things. And all these things, we, as an entrepreneur that we have been in the market for a few years, we lose kind of perception of that because we're far away from that market, but you just need someone. So money cannot be the limitation for not doing things, because there is so many other ways, right? We can also exchange services. That person might need what you need, but they can offer you something else. So many entrepreneurs, the first thing they told me is like, I don't have money to do that. I'm like, okay, we cannot see money as a limitation, because otherwise nobody will be an entrepreneur, because every single entrepreneur has money issues. Nobody starts with $1 million in their pockets, at least if you haven't inherited, right? Yeah. Most of us have started knocking doors with no money in our pockets and just getting our credit cards to the limit to get ourselves out there. So money, it's like, that's the first thing mindset that I work with. Like, I cannot hear them say like, I don't have money, because yes, that might be true, but it's not the limitation, because nobody that started rich. Probably you're rich, you're not even starting it. Why even bother? But if you have a message to bring to the world, and you have a reason and a motive that is bigger than you, you're going to find a way, and find a way in the younger generations. They're eager to learn. They're eager to put themselves out there, and they are just have all this experience on them, and they have all the technology in their hands. They're so good at it, right? Sometimes what it will take me 5 minutes, it will take them 1 minute.
Right. I love it. Well, we are here today promoting the brand new book, Inner Revolution, Embracing Change to Achieve Greatness. Fernanda is an author. I'm a co-author as well. So Fernanda, if people want to connect with you or follow you or maybe work with you one-on-one, what's the best way for them to do that?
My company call is Coaching Business Management. You can reach me there. And also we have like a 24/7 button there that you can communicate with us. It will directly to my WhatsApp, and I'll be there to support you all the time. Get into my website, coachingbusinessmanagement.com. We'll be happy to help you.
That's great. And we got about 45 seconds. Just explain a little bit about, what specifically you do to help people who come and work with you.
Sure. So I work with business entrepreneurs, business owners that have least had 3 years in the market, and they're growing, but all this work is in their shoulders. So they need to create a structure, and I'm there to easily create it for you. So you don't have to hire a manager or an administrator that you're not there yet to be able to support a salary like that. So we will create um, a structure so you can leave all that in systems and you can have that free time to follow in creating your dreams.
I love it. Well, Fernanda, thank you for joining us. We are again promoting the book called Inner Revolution, Embracing Change to Achieve Greatness. Fernanda wrote a chapter. I wrote a chapter. 19 other authors wrote a chapter. And if you get the book by today, December 8th at 11:59 p.m., it comes with $1,000 in gifts from the authors. Things like courses, audio programs, ebooks, guided meditations, hypnosis sessions, all kinds of wonderful stuff. The website to do that is www.innerrevolutionbook.com. Do it now while you're thinking about it, because it expires tonight at 11:59 p.m. Thank you, Fernanda.
Thank you. Bye, Michael.
Bye. And I'm excited to bring on our next author, David King. David King is a transformative coach and the founder of King Ventures, specializing in helping individuals and realtors overcome personal and professional barriers. With certifications in hypnotherapy, life and success coaching, EFT, and time techniques, he offers tools to guide clients through challenges like smoking cessation and weight loss. As a master hypnotist and firewalk instructor, David empowers clients to face fears and embrace transformation. His compassionate coaching style has helped many achieve their goals and lead fulfilling lives. In his chapter called Embrace the Fire for Change, David explores firewalking as a metaphor for personal transformation and growth. The chapter delves into the origins of and the cultural significance of firewalking, highlighting that its symbolic connection to overcoming fear and embracing change. David emphasizes that the true fire is internal, representing personal challenges and the courage required to confront them. And by drawing parallels between the physical act of walking on fire and life's challenges, the chapter teaches that belief, resilience, and the right mindset can turn fear into empowerment, leading to profound personal growth. Welcome, David. David, we are not hearing you. Nope. Let's see if I can edit your mic settings here really quick. Can you say something? Uh-oh. I'm going to try to mute you and unmute you. Oh, Kayla's asking if I can bring on both of his devices. Say something now, David. Nope, not hearing that one either. Uh-oh. Well, David, do you want to do like a quick jump off and reboot and come back and then come back in, and then we can try to take you for the remainder of the time that you have in your 15 minutes? Let's try that. And then Alnita, well, Kayla, let's just have him jump off and jump back on, and then I'll bring Alnita on at her scheduled time, because otherwise that's gonna change everybody else's schedule. Let's see if we can get David back on really quick. So again, we are here for the book Inner Revolution: Embracing Change to Achieve Greatness. Kayla, if David can't get on, then we'll try to get him at a different time and record separately. So Inner Revolution: Embracing Change to Achieve Greatness. We're embracing change today, right? We got a little bit of a technical issue, and these kinds of things happen. You know, we talk about this all the time. I notice a lot of times people want to get into business. They think that business is just going to be a real easy cakewalk. And the thing is this, like, being a business owner is the most rewarding thing in the world. For me, at least, emotionally, physically, financially, for time, freedom, for everything else, most rewarding thing in the world. And it's not always easy. Right? Business can be challenging at times. And one of the things we have to do is we have to make sure that, that we're willing to embrace those challenges. Right. And let's bring David's back on now. Let's see if we can get some sound. How you doing, David?
Can you hear me?
There he is. Yay.
Oh, good.
Awesome. So David, let's start with what inspired you to join this book and to write your chapter?
Well, I guess it's out of just liking to help people, NLP and firewalking has helped me. And I just want other people to be able to, you know, even if you don't think you have something, everybody has something, you know. So I just want to be able to help people.
All right. So first, we got to get this right out of the way, right? There are a lot of people who are out there going, you walked on fire? Like when fire happens, I run the other direction. What the heck would you walk into fire, onto fire for? So explain what a firewalk is.
Okay, firewalk basically, it's made. We start a fire. We build it, and then we ignite it. It's usually oak wood. It's the best, and then it takes about an hour and a half to get it all ready for you to be able to walk it. And yeah, you break it down so it's just basically the ashes. There'll be a few pieces in there, the embers or whatever, and it can get up to 1,200 degrees, as it says in my chapter. But yeah, you just it's just a mind thing, just like everything else.
And so, why would a person walk on fire?
People walk on fire for several reasons. A lot of corporate people do it for team building. Let me tell you, I was there for 4 hours and I felt like I knew them people for years upon years. And also, I guess, put it this way, if you can walk on fire, everything else is just little. You know, all your other problems just are diminished.
That's absolutely true. I had my first firewalking experience in 2010, and I loved it so much that I took my son. My son was 14 years old at the time, and I think it was more profound for me to watch him walk on fire than it was for myself. You know, it was such a profound experience for me, but to watch him at 14 years old, you know, you have so many limiting beliefs and so many doubts about life and yourself and everything else, and to watch him overcome that was amazing. It is a life-changing experience. You know, a lot of times there's two kinds of people I find when it comes to firewalk. There's the one kind of person that's like, that's terrifying, I would never do it. And then there's the other person that goes, that's all science. It's just thermodynamics, and those coals can't really burn you anyway. What do you say to those people?
It can. You walk across it, and the way you walk and the bottom of your feet is thick enough. You know, actually, when I went to do it, anymore as I get older, it's hard for me to just walk outside barefooted, and so I was very concerned about that. But that was nothing, and we did a long fire walks. We have like 110 under our belt already. Wow. And the only thing that happened to me was I got a piece of it caught by my toe, and it made just a little blister, but it didn't hurt or anything. Yeah. So,
well, the funny thing is, the people who I talk to who say that, like, oh, I know you can't get burned, and it's just BS. Then I'll say, well, do you want to do it? No.
Right.
So, and this is the thing is, like, let's say that's true. Number one, you can get burned. It does happen. It happens. The coals are between 1,200 and 1,600 degrees. You absolutely can get burned. And there's a lot of it, this mindset, because even if you believe that it can't hurt you, but you're still afraid to do it, that's why you should do it. Right. So talk about that. What is it you overcome when you walk on fire?
Basically, you know, some people are like, well, I could never do that. And once you do it, you're like, wow, you know, like I said before, you can basically, between NLP and firewalking, put it this way, the word quit isn't in my vocabulary anymore. So, and I've told a lot of people that lately. It's just like, it doesn't matter if you take baby steps towards whatever you're going to do. There just is no quit in you anymore.
So in your chapter, you just said you have 110 firewalks under your belt, right? That's a lot. I mean, I don't know how many Tony Robbins has done, but it's got to be getting up there close to him. So how do you help somebody when they get up there and they're standing in front of this lane of fire, And then all of a sudden the hesitation kicks in. And how do you help a person get over that so they can believe in themselves and walk across that fire?
We before you firewalk, you go through and you do different little activities, team building activities, and then you do your chant, which is, it's just, you take from when you remember when you were excited one time, and you take that and you channel that, and that's, whether it's like yeah or whatever, and then another thing that they'll teach you when you first you're firewalking is you can say out loud or to yourself, ice cold soothing fire.
Mhm.
And you just walk across and it's awesome.
I love it. I love it. It's such an experience. And one of the things that I love that you talk about in your chapter is that challenges are not meant to stop us, but help us grow. So often when people have a challenge, right? When people are like, if this is the comfort zone and people are leaving the comfort zone, they get to the edge of the comfort zone, they get a little bit of challenge, and then they go, they go right back to the middle of the comfort zone. And they say like, well, this must not be for me, or God doesn't want me to have this, or the universe must not want me to have this. What you look at challenges differently, right? They're not meant to stop you. They're here to help us grow.
Most definitely. Most definitely. As some of my gifts, I had to use the website Audacity, and it was very frustrating for me because a couple of my gifts are audiobooks, and it was very challenging for me. But after you get past that challenge, you're like, wow, I'm actually doing this. And that's the same with any of your problems. After you get past the tough part, it's not supposed to be always easy. Once you get past the tough part, there is, especially in firewalking, there's just a world on the other side that only you yourself can experience. Everyone's going to be different, depending on what you're going to work on, but it's just a whole different world, a whole different mindset. The world changes, you look at things a lot different.
Yeah, that's great. So I don't know if you saw it, but Aruna Ramamurthy just said, you are inspiring me to do the firewalk, David.
Well, I've had other people tell me that lately too, so we might have to put something together.
Yeah. My son commented as well about walking on fire, said it was a blast.
Right.
I love it. So talk about, when it comes to the firewalks, like talk about the belief systems, right? What kind of belief systems are you helping to empower people so that they have this, what a lot of people would say is a superpower, right? To be able to walk on these, there's, again, these are 1,200 to 1,600 degree coals. That burns people. Most people don't realize asphalt on a hot summer day is about 300 degrees. And so when people walk on asphalt and they're like, ooh, ow, 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 this fire is 4 times to 5 times hotter than asphalt, right? And so what are the belief systems that you're helping to work with people to install?
Basically, it's to tackle your limiting beliefs, and it could be even believe in yourself. A lot of people are like, oh, I'm confident, but they'll step up to that and say, oh, forget it, And like I said, it's just a total change in your mindset. It's kind of funny you talked about the asphalt, because my sister lives in San Diego, and one year she went back in the summer, and it melted her wheels on her suitcase as she was driving it across the parking.
Oh, wow. That's crazy. So David, if people want to connect with you, follow you, maybe even work with you one-on-one, what is the best way for them to do that?
You can either go to, I have a Facebook page called King Ventures, and you can follow me there, or you can email me at kingventures71@gmail.com.
That's fantastic. And how do you help people when the people come and seek you out and work with you? You've got about 30 seconds. Explain how you like to work with people.
It's funny because, people might say, oh, I'm all right, I don't have any problems. And then you get to talking to them, and especially with like realtors, say they're getting to a certain money, they can't make over, say, 80,000, 100,000. And maybe it's a belief that maybe it's a lady realtor, and her belief is that she's not supposed to make more than her husband. Or maybe it's something that happened when you were a child, something your mom or dad or somebody said to you. So,
yeah, that's so powerful. And so often, we have these things in our past that, we don't really realize affect us, and they still do. So what we're talking about today is the book Inner Revolution: Embracing Change to Achieve Greatness. David's chapter is amazing. It's all about firewalking and using that to overcome, as a metaphor, to overcome your challenges in life. Get this book today, and we'll give you over $1,000 in gifts. That includes things like courses, audio programs, ebooks, guided meditations, all kinds of wonderful gifts that we put together for the people who help us during the launch. You got to get it before 11:59 p.m. tonight in order to qualify for those gifts. So thank you so much, David. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
All right. I'm excited to bring on our next author. Our next author is Alneda Coulter, known as Amazing Alneda. She is a trainer and master practitioner of neurolinguistic programming, a speaker, an author, and she's passionate about helping people tap into their brilliance. She inspires others to embrace life joyfully, but believing personal transformation can be achieved through fun and dance. By the way, she loves to dance. As a coach, she supports individuals on their journey to fulfill their dreams. Anita also shares her experiences and insights while traveling and following her grandbabies around the world. Alneda's chapter in Breakthrough is Your Breakthrough to Brilliance. Alneda Coulter explores the concept of personal brilliance and how individuals can unlock their potential. The chapter introduces the Breakthrough to Your Brilliance system, a two-part framework consisting of 10 steps designed to help individuals identify and live their fullest potential. Welcome, Alneda.
Hi.
It's good to see you.
Yes. Thank you to everybody that has joined us. Thank you, Michael, for having me. This is so exciting.
Thank you. So let's start with what was it that inspired you to join this book and to write your chapter?
I have the honor of talking to a lot of different people. And it's funny, regardless of who I'm talking to or the positions that they have in life, when you get to the side and you start talking to them a little more closely, oftentimes the people that look like they're pulled together, polished, have everything going for them, oftentimes they say, but I don't feel that way. And I was like, wait a second, but look at you. And they're like, yes, but I see me, right? And after hearing it over and over and over again, I was like, well, wait a second, there's something that we can do about this. We can actually turn this around and allow people to know that it's okay to not just be, to not just make it. It's okay to be brilliant. It's okay to be wonderful. It's okay to have fun, and it's okay to be happy.
I love what you just said. It's okay to be brilliant. A lot of us were raised differently, right? I mean, some cultures like Australia, where they have the tall poppy syndrome, right? If you're the person who stands out, everybody else cuts you down, right? A lot of us were taught, don't be a braggart, right? Don't stand out. So when you say it's okay to be brilliant, I want you to expand on that, because most of these things that we were taught were when we were children, very little children, and then we carry those things into our adulthood.
Yes. Well, I'm one of those. I was always taught that that you're not better than anybody, but I think the addition that we have to add is, but you're as good as everybody. It was seen as, I guess, the way, my parents were older when they had me. My mother was 41, so they grew up in a significantly different time. And I think the whole thing with them was work hard and, kind of don't draw too much attention to yourself, and then you'll be okay. And if you make yourself, if you say that you're this, if you say that you're that, then you become a target for people. And what I found is I've always been one of those people that fit in everywhere and nowhere at the same time, right? And so I kind of existed on the outer edges. And I used to be the person that was standing on the side of the dance floor wanting to dance, but feeling like I did not have the permission or the right to.
Mm.
And as I've gotten older, I've learned I've learned, first of all, that I'm not everyone's cup of tea. I'm not. And that's wonderful because it's no need. A friend of mine told me you should go where you're celebrated, not
Mm.
tolerated. And
Mm.
there are lots of people that I'm too much for. But there are other people, my tribe, your vibe will find your tribe. And my tribe loves to have fun. And even there are some people who don't even realize that this is a possibility for them because of the way that they were raised. I think that as I've gotten older, I found that it's easier to embrace the zaniness, to embrace the things that I always thought made me less than, if you will. But actually, those are the brilliant things that set you apart. Those are the things that make you stand out. Those are the things that that really allow you to go through life dancing to your own beat, but also in sync with others when you need to be, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love it. And that's, this is something I feel so many people are just slaves to these anecdotes or these kind of generalized rules that we were given. I work with a lot of coaches who are afraid to put themselves out there. They get their certification, they want to transform the world, they want to make money, and then they're afraid to put themselves out there. And it turns out it goes back to this thing that they were taught when they were 2 or 3 years old: don't brag, right? Yeah. And then they carry this limiting belief, which I'm sure that was meant to be positive. It was meant to, for a tiny child who doesn't know any better, meant for them not to act out or be, too much. And then as adults, we tend to just be too little because of these rules that make no sense.
It's funny because we think, I think my daughter said, Mom, you don't have to be the sacrificial lamb, right? Because I'm always the person that's like, okay, well, I won't take this and I won't take that or anything like that. And we think that by dimming our lights, by being smaller, that we're doing the world a favor. But actually, in some ways, you're kind of robbing from the world because they don't get to experience you at your best. I think, I unfortunately, a lot of people live lives that they feel the need to get away from, right?
Mm-hmm.
And part of breaking through to your brilliance is finding the thing that you're good at that makes you happiest, the things where those intersect. Because it's very important. I mean, you truly only get one life. And sometimes you hear that life is not a dress rehearsal, but I don't think it really dawns on people that this really isn't it. I mean, each day, it's one and done. And we benefit the world. I always told my children that you have a responsibility to make a positive difference wherever you go. Whenever you show up, things are already going to be different. But it's up to you to make sure that that difference is positive. And you never know the people that are waiting for you to show your brilliance in order for them to show their brilliance. Sometimes that gives them courage. Sometimes that helps them to find a path because they don't even know that it's a possibility.
Yeah, that's so powerful. So one of the things you talk about in your chapter is the term brilliance. And a lot of times people will take the term brilliance as a relative term, like, well, that person's got a higher IQ than me, or that person got better grades than me, or that person's got more money than me. How could I be brilliant? And I love the fact that you introduce the idea of personal brilliance in your chapter. What is personal brilliance?
Well, it's when you find a thing. Okay, so I say there are a lot of people, we come to this world with a name we don't choose, and some say a family that we don't pick, right? And we spend a lifetime growing into the expectations of others. As you get older, and I kind of used this example yesterday when I was talking to somebody. If you were, let's say if you thought it was going to be cold, and you decided that you were going to put on 8 layers of clothing, and you're sitting in the room that actually is really, 70 degrees, you wouldn't continue to sit in that room with all of those clothes on because you would pass out. So as you warm up, you start taking the layers of the clothing off. That's kind of the same thing that happens with your brilliance. Just because you're good at doing something doesn't mean that it brings you joy. And if it doesn't bring you joy, then you absolutely should not be doing it. Or you should minimize when you do it until you transition to the things that you want to do. I think that it's very important to it's very important for you to figure out sooner rather than later the things that bring you the biggest joy, right? And brilliance is about joy. Brilliance is not just doing the thing that's easiest for you to do. Now, there are some things that will come easy for you and you will like them, and that's great. There are some things that won't come as easy for you, but you're willing to put in the effort that it takes to learn that, to master that, to get to your brilliance. So you need to evaluate that on an individual basis. But the thing that's most important is to not just do something because it's been expected of you. I say we shouldn't be shoulding all over ourselves, as in you shouldn't be doing this and you should be doing that. It's
Right.
like, no. Because when it's all said and done, we are creating a legacy. We're creating a legacy, and there are people that have been assigned to each of us that are out there waiting for you to move them to their purpose. And if you don't act in your own brilliance, you'll never be able to do that. Now, fortunately, there is a backup. There's always somebody else that will move in case you don't. But the thing is, the person not only benefits, the world benefits and you benefit because you get to live a life that is that has been created especially for you by you.
I love that. One of the things you talk about in your book is something called the shine state. And I'd love for you to explain what it means for a person to shine and how this state helps people do that.
Okay, so the shine state it's a state of focus, where you're actually getting in touch with the power of your subconscious mind. A lot of times when people are finding that they're not living with full joy, it's because they're living from a conscious perspective, right? And once again, getting into those shoulds, the things that they think that they should do and everything like that. But with the shine state, before you start thinking about whatever it is that you're thinking about, if you take some deep breaths, and I say, do a box breath, breathe in for 4, 2, 3, 4, hold it for 4, 2, 3, 4, and then blow out for 4. And that kind of creates the space for the shine to happen. And then you're going to find a spot on the wall and you're going to gently lift your eyes up at that spot and you're going to let your perspective expand, let your consciousness expand, and you're going to wiggle your fingers right outside of your peripheral. And as you do that, you'll begin to notice that your attention will expand to include the things around you. And once you do that, and you find that you're fully expanded, you're fully shining, then you're going to bring your eyes down and you're going to stay with your vision focused outward. That allows you to immediately access your subconscious mind. And that is truly where all the power is.
I love it. What a beautiful exercise that is. So we're here today for the launch of our brand new book, Inner Revolution, Embracing Change to Achieve Greatness. Alnita, if people want to connect with you or follow you or work with you one-on-one, what's the best way for them to do that?
Okay, you can go to my website, amazingalnita.com. You can find me on Facebook and YouTube at Amazing Alnita. And then you can also find me on Instagram at Alnita Coulter. That is A, L as in love, N as in nice, I as in interesting, T as in terrific, A as in awesome, Coulter, Coulter.
I love it. And we've got about 30 seconds. Tell people how you help them.
I help people, I breathe life into people's dreams and possibilities. And I incorporate fun along with the process. The thing is, it's all about getting the energy moving. And when you do that, when you blow the energy, when you create that space for the change to happen, then it makes it easier for you to embrace that. And the thing about brilliance is really learning that you really can be those things that you secretly want to be.
I love it. So again, here's the book, Inner Revolution, Embracing Change to Achieve Greatness. Get this book today. Anita's an author. I'm an author. We have 19 other co-authors with us. And it'll change your life, number one, for $6.89. But number two, you get $1,000 in gifts as long as you get it before tonight at 11:59 p.m. So thank you, Alnita.
Thank you.
Been a pleasure. And I am excited to bring our next author. Our next author is Becky Parker. Becky is a dedicated mindset coach, relationship coach for life, committed to helping women overcome stress, overwhelm, and self-doubt. She uses her own experiences to empower clients to build confidence and embrace fulfilling relationships. Through virtual coaching, Becky provides a supportive environment for women to recover their strengths and redefine their lives. Her compassionate approach blends mindset mastery with actionable tools, transforming the lives of women seeking balance and joy. Her chapter is called Embracing Vulnerability for Lasting Love, and she shares her personal journey of overcoming self-doubt and trust issues in relationships. Initially skeptical of therapy, she confronted her fears with the help of a life coach, uncovering deep-seated beliefs that shaped her interactions. And through vulnerability and openness, she transformed her marriage into a deeply connected and passionate partnership. So Becky emphasizes the power of self-discovery and growth in enriching relationships and encouraging others to embrace vulnerability for deeper connections and lasting love. Welcome, Becky.
Hello.
Great to have you.
Thank you for
here.
having me.
Absolutely. So let's start with, what inspired you to join this book that we're promoting today, Inner Revolution, and to write your chapter?
That's a good question. I saw an opportunity to get my voice out there, be that voice, get my message out. And I struggled most of my life, decades, with vulnerability. And I was always happy, but, it just felt like there was either something missing or this small little void or hole. And I didn't realize even what it had to do with. And what so much of it has to do with is pain and fears from past experiences and messages that I was given and, that I made in my head growing up. And it was about due time that I know this sounds so cliche, but it was like once I started uncovering and healing from my own stuff and having that healing journey, it was like I wanted to freaking shout it from the rooftops, like, oh my God, women, you can get the life that you want. You can have the marriage that you want. You can have daily happiness. It's just a matter of getting down in there and figuring out what's going on, and for me, so much of my stuff came out in anger. And I was divorced very young. And I said I would never remarry. Like I had that much against marriage and all that and thought it was marriage. Well, it wasn't. It was me. And, of course it takes two to tango, but a big part of, the demise of my relationships, fast forward, I stayed single for, I dated, but I was always like, no, I even got teased like, oh, you have a black heart, or you got a black soul, woman, and I kind of took pride in that, but it was all a defense mechanism. So when the opportunity for this book came along, I'm like, you know what? I have completely changed the trajectory of my life. And the catalyst was my husband looking at me one day, and I talk about it in the book. He's like, why are you so angry? And I couldn't answer. And to me, that is what was a catalyst for me to do the work, whatever it was. I didn't even know what that meant. Do the work or do the mindset work or even what a life coach, this was back 7, 8 years ago. So it was still even somewhat new.
Yeah.
But I knew that something needed to change because this man that I was dating at the time, I couldn't lose. And
Mm.
I realized like, okay, maybe I'm the common denominator in all this, the struggles in my life.
That's a
So,
great realization when we finally come to that realization, isn't it?
oh my gosh, yes.
So one of the things you really emphasize, your whole chapter is about, is this idea of vulnerability. And this is a common theme in this book, a meta theme, that these things that we tend to run away from are the things that actually will bring us the best things in life, right? And I feel like vulnerability is one of those things that so many people run away from. So what advice would you give to someone who's struggling with vulnerability and trust issues?
Oh my gosh, it's so freaking scary. And I will say that, and with any client that comes to me, that's the first thing I'll say is normalizing it for them, that this is normal to, or common, I should say, to have these fears, but it's not the normal way to live. Um, but if you're having those, just remind yourself that if it's scary, it's probably you're on the right path to taking whatever steps you need forward to bettering yourself. And the scariest things are usually the meaning or telling us that we're going in the right direction. So I would say fears and vulnerability, usually they're underneath that is either a message that you've received in your head, past pain,
Yeah.
past experiences that are going to hold you back.
Yeah. And I will say too, the cure for being comfortable with vulnerability is quality relationships.
Yes.
I had a lot of toxic relationships in my teenage years and my early 20s, and in many cases I was part of that toxicity. In many cases it was the other person. But there came a time where somebody jokingly told me one time I had a bad picker. I just picked bad people.
Yeah.
and so focusing on how do you help people focus on the right people, getting with the right people so that you can be vulnerable with them?
One of my favorite techniques that I use is an NLP technique, and it's removing negative emotions, and time techniques, going back to the initial time, because so many of us do not even realize that it stemmed from, it could be childhood or, this experience here, and then it just carries on through life and you don't even realize it. So time techniques are huge. That's one of the biggest things that I incorporate into my coaching, is because then it allows them to release that pain, and it's like a string of pearls, it just goes on down the line for all the other experiences, and then they're free from it and they can start to understand where it came from. And awareness, as is a huge part of the first step in anything.
Yeah, I've become a believer over my lifetime that we will keep getting the lesson until we understand it, until we learn. And so a lot of times if we have, let's say, negative emotions from a past relationship, maybe we got cheated on, right? That prevents us from being vulnerable. As long as we're still carrying that hurt, then we're probably going to attract other relationships, because the unconscious mind, the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, is going to say, well, you don't have the lesson yet. Right. So you haven't learned yet. So let's have that lesson again. And I find that release with time techniques is just so powerful in stopping those patterns.
Yep.
So one of the things you talked about in your chapter is having a life coach. And so, what role did your life coach play in helping you uncover and address these hidden layers? And what would you say to other people who are like, I don't need a coach? Like, why would I need a coach in life?
My husband at the time, we were dating, and he had presented it to me to go see his life coach. He had been seeing them for probably, I think it was like 13 years at the time. And I'm like, no, you're just trying to brainwash me. Like, I just looked out the window. I'm like, nope, I'm having no part of that at all. And then, we talked about it a little bit, and he's like, well, I can't keep doing this. Like, you just come out of nowhere with this anger or these accusations or these fears, and like I'm blindsided. I can't keep going on in a relationship like this. So I would say that when I had gone to my love coach, I had battled an eating disorder since I was 15, and it was still active at the time when my now husband and I, when we first started dating, mind you, I had this eating disorder that was active almost daily since I was 15. Other than through my pregnancies, I was able to control it. So when I went to this life coach, I had no idea that it was just a strategy. I had told him about the eating disorder, and he's like, okay. And I'm like, there's not something wrong with me? Like, I do this stuff, and he's like,
Mhm.
no, it's just a strategy that you've used, that you chose as a way to control and feel safe and self-soothe and self-medicate. So once he said that, I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is crazy. This is like the first person in my life that's ever said, it's okay. We'll get a hold of it. We'll, figure out what the root cause is.
Yeah.
So he had done an exercise with us. He took, at the time, my boyfriend and I into the room and had us stand at opposite ends of the room in separate corners. And he would ask a question. And this was an NLP exercise. Each time he'd ask a question, he and I would take a step closer and closer. And what I saw in that first few minutes was my boyfriend at the time, his eyes like welling up. And I'm like, oh my God, this guy does love me. I got to figure my shit out. Like whatever it is that I am struggling with, that I like do this, or I mean, to the point, like if somebody hugged me and it would be like, okay, you're hugging me too long. Like that's how I
Yeah.
had, what was called intimacy anorexia. And I just, that again stems from childhood stuff. And then it just got compounded with pain and me protecting myself and became a defense mechanism.
That's your chapter was the first time I'd ever heard that phrase. The anorexia, intimacy anorexia. Talk about that a
Yeah.
little bit.
So it's intimacy anorexia is you're starved for intimacy. You don't have that intimacy. You don't either, whether it's you don't want it or you're resistant to it. And that was I wanted it. I wanted it so bad. Like I knew the kind of marriage and relationship I wanted, and I wanted it so badly. But then when my husband would give it to me, I'd be like, okay, like it. And it comes from growing up and I didn't have that kind of compassion and affection. So then, fast forward when I'm getting it from somebody, it was uncomfortable. It was foreign to me. I didn't even know like what to do with it. It was scary. Vulnerability is very scary. So it played a part both intimately in the bedroom and as well as my compassion and empathy towards him, even my girls. And I talk about, breaking a generational cycle, because I wanted my girls to remember me like, oh, mom would like just give like this hug and, and all that. And I didn't want to have my girls feeling like, I have 2 daughters. I didn't want them to feel like I held back love from them. I didn't want it to be a love that was only performance based on,
Mm.
how they performed, grades or, sports or whatever. So yeah, the intimacy anorexia, it's a real thing. And it's
That's so powerful, and what you said about your kids, that I think a lot of us were raised in generations where, like, if you didn't bring home an A, if you brought home an A, you were hugged and you were loved, and if you didn't bring home an A, the love was withdrawn and you were punished.
yeah.
And that I don't think people realize how damaging neglect is. It's almost as damaging as abuse.
Mm-hmm. It is.
Yeah.
It can leave you feeling that you get this message in your head that you're not good enough. And oh my God, there again, I've struggled for that, not good enough and not worthy for decades. It wasn't until my 40s that I have finally recognized I'm fucking valuable and I'm
Yeah.
worthy. And it has nothing to do with my achievements or my performances. It's because
Exactly.
I hear and hear.
So Becky, if people want to connect with you, follow you, or maybe even work with you one-on-one, what's the best way for them to do that?
They can either do Relationship Success for Life right there under my name, .com. That's how it's spelled out. And also either Facebook or Instagram. I'm Becky Parker, and it's 3 R's at Parker, Parkerr.
Like Fiverr.com, but one more R.
Right.
I love it. And we got about 30 seconds. So explain, if somebody wants to come and work with you, how do you help them?
Like I talk about in on my social media, I'm gonna be your biggest freaking cheerleader. There is something about empowering and inspiring other women and having them live a life of abundance because they deserve to. Every single woman out there, everybody deserves to live a life of abundance, feel confident, feel secure, feel worthy, no matter what the scale says, no matter what your jean size is, how much money you got in your bank account, doesn't matter. You are wonderful and beautiful the way you are.
I love it. And so here we are today promoting our new book, Inner Revolution, Embracing Change to Achieve Greatness. Becky is an author, as well as I am, and 19 other of our authors who we are interviewing. So get the book today by 11:59 p.m., and it'll come with $1,000 in free gifts. Thank you, Becky.
Thank you so much.
Been a pleasure. And I am excited to introduce our next authors. Not just one, we get 2 for 1 with this, which I love. And this is Nadira and Troy Lugg. Nadira Lugg, known as your Clarity Queen, holds a BA in speech communication and an MA in liberal arts. And she is a certified clarity coach, yoga instructor, and more. She empowers women navigating grief through holistic communication methods. Troy Lugg is a motivational speaker and safety professional impacting the American workforce with degrees in industrial management, and he aims to become the world's top motivational speaker, sharing his insights and inspirational stories. In their chapter, Achieving Greatness Within Your Relationships, they share personal anecdotes and lessons learned from their marriage to illustrate key aspects of building strong relationships. Troy discusses the importance of anticipation, navigation, communication, listening, and leadership, emphasizing the need for mutual support and understanding. Nadira complements these insights by highlighting the power of embracing change, effective communications, and continuous learning with a partnership. Together, they underscore the significance of working collaboratively, leading with love, maintaining respect to achieve greatness in relationships. Welcome, Nadira and Troy. Uh-oh, we are not hearing you. Let me unmute you really quick.
Okay, there we go. There we go. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Michael. How are you?
Good morning. Great to see you too. So let's start with what inspired you both to write a chapter in this book.
Oh my. Troy and I have been married. You don't mind?
No,
Troy and I have been married. See, that's the communication part. Troy and I have been.
Thank you for asking.
No
I
problem.
appreciate
No
that.
problem. So we've been married for over 17 years. And the beautiful thing, but we've known each other since 6th and 8th grade. And one of the things that we have learned is that by building a lot of experience, by being friends first, because we were in grammar school together, establishing that, then moving into the more girlfriend, boyfriend, giving each other advice, going to each other for life advice, and our other significant others back in the day,
Yes.
we basically just grabbed a database and kept adding on more and more information, what we learned in our past relationships. And then when Troy approached me about us going ahead and trying to be a couple, and I said no initially, but I'm glad we went ahead and went back and I reviewed that whole idea. And we were able to take all the lessons that we had learned and said, let's share with the world. Let's share with other people who may benefit from the lessons that we've learned, like I said, throughout our relationships, whether platonic, whether it was interpersonal with ourselves, or just in the business world.
Yep. And so many people are actually having relationships, starting off social media, where they really don't know each other. So we've actually learned our lessons over time, in which people don't invest that time into themselves and into those relationships. So over time, we've built lessons that we've learned over the challenges over years of our journey. And we'd just like to share our lessons learned, just because we are here to inspire people on their development of change.
That's right.
And actually to create them along their journey of greatness. But only to do so, we got to step outside of our comfort zone. And in relationships, we often bring that sense of comfort in two different ways where we butt heads. And, and that was us for so long.
Yes,
and,
it was.
and these are the lessons learned.
Lessons learned.
So we just want you to buy the book and tune in.
That's right.
Kelly Kirchner just commented, said, love Nadira and Troy. They work so well together and bring so much to the table. So insightful.
Thank
And
you.
Aruna said, power couple.
Oh,
Thank you.
I love it. So one of the things you talk about in your chapter is something that I think I agree with you is very important, but it's one of those things that I've always felt was unsaid. And it's the idea of anticipation in relationships.
Yes.
Can you share, what does it mean, anticipating your partner's needs, and how does that lead to a positive outcome in a relationship?
Well, for me, a lot of times when we've been with someone for so long, we assume that we know every aspect of that person. And hear me when I say, I'm sure you know when your wife, Michael, when your wife is having a trying day of some sort, and you know how to navigate to kind of ease the blow. And so those are like the anticipation of even emotions or an anticipation of a situation. You kind of see when maybe a deadline needs to be met, and you know the temperament of your mate or your friend, or like I said, it doesn't matter what the relationship is. It's anticipating something and giving it some forethought, and then providing some assistance or advice if warranted, but to kind of ease the blow of what we see may be coming. But 9 times out of 10, Troy can really, he's very intuitive in seeing something going on with me as I with him. And when you can anticipate those kinds of things, I promise you, it allows for a lot more of smoother communication and situations in life. I don't know if you have an example per se.
Well, I can always say anticipation is always being one step ahead. So it's all about researching, going above and beyond to make sure that you understand what's to come before it actually happens. So it's actually just preparation, being prepared for the situation at hand. Some people believe in luck, but it's all about preparation. And are you prepared? So did you do a little bit of research before the time comes to be proactive, to make sure that you are one step ahead of the situation that comes? So being anticipation from my wife, I know that she's a foodie. So each and every day, when she has a challenging time,
really,
or comes to me with a challenge or concern, I know that I can use food in order to better navigate the situation, because I can anticipate she's going to be hungry. So,
everybody in the world who wants a meal, but I do get a little food happy. I do.
So one of the things you talk about in your chapter is just, communication, right? It's highlighted as a crucial element in relationships. How do you both ensure that effective communication happens, especially during challenging times, right? These are the times when most people butt heads, but you focus on communicating. Talk about that and how people can do that in their relationships.
Transparency. So Troy and I we were butting heads a lot. As far as understanding each other's language. And it wasn't until we brought in a mediator, a coach, that helped us to see that, what I was hearing was not the same as what he was saying, and vice versa. And so that took some help, but it wasn't until we had to personally learn tools. And it was so helpful to be a part of a wonderful program like Transform Destiny that literally helped us to really understand the language of speaking his language and speaking my language. Everyone has a different love language. Everyone has a different way of thinking, whether you are a logical or practical thinker, or if you like flowery adverbs and adjectives when you're speaking. But we had to learn each other's language. And when it came to conversations, it was time for us to take a breath. Man, breath is a powerful thing. It really is. To calm the body, calm the mind, calm the senses before we get from 1 to 10 in like 0.01 seconds. So if we could take a breath and then go ahead and collect our thoughts. And I'm also a big proponent on, if I can't get what I want to express out in that moment, I had to ask Troy, Give me a minute.
I didn't like that. Though.
He did not like that. Oh, he did not like that. What do you mean? We're talking right now. I don't understand. What you need a break for? Time out. What is you put a tag on the what? He didn't get that. But for some people, for communication to really, to take it in, I'm a person, I need time to understand what he said, process, and then I can come up with an answer that's going to be beneficial for both of us in our situation.
Well, I would say any family, organization, team, or relationship, you're only as strong as your communication. But one thing I had to learn is intention is totally different than your perception. So what I intend is something totally different than what Nadira may perceive. So I had to be able to learn to understand that I had to go over and beyond to make sure she understands exactly what I wanted to intend.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't perceived the right way, maybe I did not do.
You had to use other verbiage.
I had to use better communication. So I had to look more so in myself instead of looking at the other person as if they were to blame or at fault.
Yes.
I didn't communicate correctly or as effectively as I should.
Or like I always say, I'll be the first to say, I didn't understand that. Can you use different verbiage? Can you use different words?
Right.
Use words, and then maybe that'll help.
As we all know, men versus what? Mars versus
Venus. We were from Venus, men are from
two
Mars.
different languages.
Yeah. It's so powerful, and in our courses we teach about communication. One of the questions I'll ask people is, if two people are having a conversation, what percentage of responsibility do you have for communication? And most people in the world will say 50%. If there's two of us, 50%. If there's three of us, I own 33 1/3%. No, you have to have 100% responsibility.
Exactly.
That's right.
Right. We are the cause to the effect. So.
And be willing to go ahead and say, I didn't quite understand that, or can you ask it in a different way?
Mm-hmm. So powerful. So you mentioned the concept of leading by example in a partnership. Can you elaborate on how leading with love and mutual respect has shaped your relationship over the years?
A lot of times, I'm a firm believer, I could show you better than I can tell you. That's been a very personal mantra for myself for many, many, many years. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of times, again, some people need examples. And so if I'm getting a point across with Troy about, let's say, washing a car. Okay, so, and I want Troy to wash his car, then what I'll do is wash my car. And, okay, well, doesn't the car look nice? It's clean, it's ready to go. Ooh, and I'm looking at his car like, okay, are you planning on taking yours in anytime soon? I'm just saying, since I'm gonna, ride with my nice, beautiful, shiny car. I'm just using this as a vague example. But again, the showing or giving by example can definitely help influence a conversation to be had, or even influence an action that you are inspiring your partner to also participate in. Even my participation in any classes or things like that I like to sign up for, I use myself as an example doing the work or whatever, and then I ask Troy, as he sees me doing the classes, like, I think this may be something you might be interested in. Check it out, and then they're more open and receptive to it.
A great example that I can show is actually for leadership. Is knowing when to lead and knowing when to follow.
Oh, good.
Every great leader first has to be a great follower.
Mm-hmm.
That is something I know, understand, and believe. That's to any leader out there, and we all are leaders.
Yes, that's right.
So with that being said, I had to know when to lead in my relationship and know when to take a back seat. A perfect example is moving to California, in which we just had our 5th year anniversary, November 19th.
Yeah.
So we were just so happy to know about that. But we're in the class for Transport Destiny at the time. but anyway, I had to learn that I was fearful at the time. I didn't have a clear plan or a clear path. I just couldn't see the vision of looking beyond. So therefore, I had to know when to take a back seat. So therefore, I did take a back seat, and I looked for Nadira for guidance, coaching, advice, and direction in order to guide this family into the right direction. It took both of us to understand our path, our journey,
Our
but
roles.
our roles, seriously. But we all have to know when to lead and when to take a back seat. And that's so hard to do in the time of challenge because you're stressed out.
And the roles will interchange. They will interchange.
They will. And you got to be able to make that split-second decision.
That's right.
Absolutely. So we got about a minute left. So we're here promoting the book Inner Revolution, Embracing Change to Achieve Greatness. So Nadira and Troy, let people know if they want to follow you, connect with you, work with you one-on-one. What's the best way to do that?
Best way for me, please go to the website at yourclarityqueen.com. That's YOUR, Clarity, CLARITY, Queen, QUEEN.com. That's also my handle on Facebook. That's also my handle on Instagram, TikTok, all the platforms. And so that is always the best way to reach out to me.
And you can look for me at TroyLug.com, and Troy Lug speaks on all social media platforms. That's Instagram, Facebook, and also TikTok. So I look forward to seeing you guys and connecting soon.
I love it. And everybody go get the book, Inner Revolution, Embracing Change to Achieve Greatness. We are shooting for number 1 today. We got 2 spots left to go. We're number 3. We're going to get there.
Oh, we're great.
You got to get to number 1. Got to get to number 1. Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it.
Number 1.
Thanks so much, guys. All right. And I'm excited to announce our next author, who is Marcia Souza. Marcia is a seasoned expert in personal and educational development with over a decade of experience. She's a certified practitioner of NLP, clinical hypnotherapy, life and success coach, and a parent coach. She focuses on empowering parents and educators. Marcia holds a BA in education and various certifications, helping individuals reduce stress and achieve success. As a co-author of Inner Revolution, she is dedicated to fostering strong bonds between parents and children. Her chapter, The Art of Building Rapport, explores the significance of establishing strong, trusting relationships in both personal and professional settings. It emphasizes the importance of understanding and empathy in creating meaningful connections, discussing techniques like video calls and interactive tools for effective communication. She delves into neurolinguistic programming, at concepts such as matching and mirroring and sensory-based language to enhance rapport. Marcia, so great to have you here.
Hi. Very nice to be here, Michael.
Great to see you. So let's start with what inspired you to join this book and to write your chapter.
Yeah, so there was a very specific time in my life. I was noticing a lot of people around me at work complaining about, how difficult it was to get along with other people and have to work with people that you don't get along. And, people always say, I hate people. And I was thinking, and I brought up the concept of building rapport, but I wanted to do something a little deeper. I was like, I wish I could share this message, with everyone, how important it is to build relationship with others and all the benefits that this will bring to them as well. And then, I had the opportunity to write the chapter, and that's what I wrote about.
I love it. So, one of the things, the word that you use in your chapter is a word that I know a lot of people use, and I don't know if a lot of people really know the meaning of it. So it's kind of a weird word. It's got, I think it's a French word. It's got an invisible letter, right? It's rapport. Explain what rapport is to the readers and why they would want to have rapport in their relationships.
Yeah, so rapport is building that relationship with others, is connecting. It is not just like building a relationship, but being able to connect with others in a level that they will trust you, and it'll be better, easier for you and for the person as well.
I love it. And so, understanding the importance of emotional intelligence in building rapport. How does emotional intelligence tie into rapport and contribute to the process of building rapport?
So this is, it's very special, I think, because emotional intelligence is being able to recognize your own emotions and being able to understand others' emotions as well. So once you're able to do that, you can better connect with people because you know how you feel. And then there's another whole thing of being able to regulate your own emotions, right? And understanding other people's emotions too is very important, so you know how to connect with them.
Yeah, that's I love the way that you just explained emotional intelligence. It's probably the simplest way that I've ever heard it explained. And I remember when I first met Kayla, she saw me give very early in our relationship. She saw me give a presentation on building rapport with other people. And, in the beginning, she was like, that's my boyfriend up there speaking. She was so, excited. By the end of it, she's given me a look like, did you do something to me to make me like you? What would you say to people who would say this idea of like building or creating rapport with somebody is manipulation?
Manipulation to me, from my point of view, is something different, is something totally different. So when you're building rapport, you're actually doing something for yourself. You're reducing your stress level. You're making your life way easier. So it's not about manipulating, but making the environment and the relationship better for you and others.
And how could that be a bad thing? I mean, that can only be good, right?
Exactly. How can that be a bad thing? I often say to people like that, I see life as like a train ride, right? It's a train. You're in a train, and then a lot of people come in and out. And who are these people? Some people you get along with well, some other people's you don't, but people still come in, in and out. And the only one that makes the final destination is you. So to make this ride easier, learn how to connect with others, learn how to build a good relationship, and this will be way easier for you.
The famous psychotherapist and hypnotherapist Milton H. Erickson, he once said that without rapport, almost nothing can be accomplished, but with rapport, almost anything can be accomplished. It's such a powerful tool. So the significance of cultural awareness in communication. Why is cultural awareness essential in building rapport? And what strategies do you recommend for fostering cross-cultural connections?
So being a foreigner myself, I have experienced that in different levels. So being culturally aware, it means like understanding that we are all people, right? But we all have different experiences and beliefs and cultures. So a way of doing it's asking questions, like ask that person a question, learn about the culture to see exactly what is okay for you to do, what is not appropriate to do. For example, in some cultures, you have to give eye contact when you're talking to the person, but in some others, it is not okay. And also, like if you're going to someone's house, some people you need to take off your shoes, right? And some other people, that is not really part of their culture. So learning about each other's culture is very important, because it not only makes the person feel respected, but it also makes your connection with them much easier.
Yeah, I when Kayla and I were in Morocco, we had a situation like this where here in the United States, if somebody asks you a question and you want to give a physical answer of yes, you give a thumbs up, right? And that's just the thing. I grew up giving thumbs ups to everybody. Well, in Morocco and in a lot of Arab countries, that is an extreme insult. And so we got into a taxi one time, and even though I knew, the rule, we got into the taxi and the guy said where do we want to go? I said, he responded back, and I said, yep. and then of course I went like this and covered my thumb and said, I'm so sorry. And luckily he had a great sense of humor, and we laughed really, really hard about it. But yeah, it's even though I knew the rule, I caught myself, and then because I knew the rule, even though I broke the rule, because I knew the rule, he had a really hearty laugh about it. So you don't have to be perfect, right? You just have to strive to understand. So what are some interactive tools or strategies that you recommend for building rapport in virtual settings, right? We live in a world now where we're no longer face-to-face for a lot of our interactions. And so how does all this idea of rapport translate to virtual settings or maybe over the phone?
Yeah, so virtually, make sure you're using the camera, right? Like we have meetings every day, we're meeting at work, and I won't say almost know, I mean, all the people, but a lot of people don't turn on their cameras. So for
Yeah.
many different reasons, right? But if you want to make a better connection, make sure your camera is on, answer questions, or ask questions, right? So those are some ways that can enhance that virtual connection. Or if you're, I don't know, maybe you're building a relationship with someone, whenever it's possible, make a video call. I know some people don't like it, but that's a way to connect, right? It is not just texting, because before texting, we used to, way back in the days, there were, no phones, so people used to write to each other, and then phone became available. We started calling each other and then texting. And nowadays we have cameras. So we need to make use of all this technology to help us to build better connections.
I love it. One of the things you talk about in your chapter is, like negotiation, doing and some case studies about negotiation. What role do you find that building rapport has in, because we talk about rapport in terms of relationships, but a lot of times people are like, well, I want to sell something. I'm in business, or I want to negotiate. Maybe I'm going through a divorce, or, and I don't have any rapport with my ex or something like that. So these kinds of non-personal relationship contexts, what would you share in terms of gaining rapport?
So in building rapport, so it's very important to know about, for example, the mirroring, pay attention to the person's breathing, try to match their breathing. Of course, it's something that you have to do very discreetly. The matching, see how, their body language, try to read their body language, right? And so this way you can have that connection with them. And it is crucial for business, for any kind, but specifically like if you're selling something, or if you need to close a deal, you need to make that connection so you will build trust.
So how are trust and rapport connected? Explain that.
Okay, so if you trust someone, you will connect easily with the person. So it is very common to hear people saying, "Are you so easy to talk to?" Why is that person is easy to talk to? Because they made a connection, right? So there is the trust. When I trust you, I will connect with you. If I don't trust you, I'm just going to close and I won't share much.
There are a lot of people who say that, you have to know someone for a long time before you can trust them. What would you say to that?
I would say that you might live a whole life, your entire life with someone, and then one day you will find out that you didn't really know them. So to me, it's more like getting to know them, ask questions. Don't be afraid of asking questions. I would say ask open-ended questions, right? So this way you can get to know them better.
I love it. And so can you explain maybe a situation? Did you have a personal situation or story where, maybe you use these techniques that you teach in the book to gain rapport with somebody and you got a great result from it?
Yeah, so I had a very traumatic childhood. So my whole life, for me, was very difficult connecting with others, trusting others, right? Because of this background that I had. Until when I was able to learn how to build rapport, NLP has made such a great impact in my life. And when I started applying and just using these techniques, everything changed. And I was like, oh, so it helps you to see that it is not always what you're thinking, but you need to put in practice, certain tools that you learn. Just keep on practicing and wait for the results. Be patient with yourself. Believe the process. And it happens. So it happened with me, and I know it can happen to anyone.
I love it. So if people want to connect with you or follow you or maybe work with you one-on-one, what's the best way for people to do that?
So I have my website, connectedparentcoaching.net. And they can also connect with me on Facebook, marciaso at facebook.com. And there is also on Instagram.
I love it. And we've got about 45 seconds. Explain, if somebody wants to work with you one-on-one, explain how you can help them.
Yes, I can help them with stress reduction, I can help them to release negative emotions, limited beliefs, and I can also use EFT for different any different kind of needs depending on the situation. And not only parents, but my focus is on parenting, but I do help them with all the NLP techniques.
I love it. And, I think, having been a parent myself, there aren't a lot of people out there to teach you how to parent, right? Most of the time we parent the way our parents parented, or in my case, tried to do the opposite of what my parents did, and, it's so great to have somebody out there who's actually, studied this and can help, and, bring those kinds of answers. So we're here today promoting our new book, Inner Revolution, Embracing Change to Achieve Greatness. We are currently number 3 and we are shooting for number 1, and you can help us get there for $6.89. Get a copy of the book at innerrevolutionbook.com. There's a simple 3-step process there. We're going to send you to Amazon, but then there's a few other steps to get the $1,000. So make sure you go to innerrevolutionbook.com first so that you can get those steps and help us get to number 1 today. And we're going to give you $1,000 in thank you gifts just for doing that, but you have to get it before 11:59 p.m. tonight. If you get it at midnight, 12:01, or 3 o'clock tomorrow, or anytime after that, you don't get the gift. So thank you so much, Marcia. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. All right. And now I'm excited to bring our next author on. Our next author is Sam Wakefield. And Sam, whoops, I closed my tab. Sam, well, now I got to bring my notes back up because I accidentally closed my tab and lost my notes.
Well, greetings. Happy to be here.
Thank you. Great to have you here. And so just to prove that we're live, I make mistakes.
It's all good.
Sam is a renowned sales training expert with 20 years of experience in the HVAC and home services industry. He hosts the Close It Now Sales Training podcast, providing strategies that blend psychology and proven systems for success. Sam is a passionate teacher who believes in ethical sales practices for sustainable growth. His mission is to empower professionals to excel in sales with confidence and integrity. His chapter emphasizes the power of language in shaping outcomes. He illustrates how using the word open instead of interested can foster more productive conversations by encouraging curiosity and reducing pressure. And this linguistic shift, not only in sales, but also in personal relationships and self-talk, and promoting growth and exploration. By consciously choosing words that invite openness, individuals can create environments conducive to better communication and results. So Sam, welcome.
Yeah, thank you. I'm so happy to be here and be a part of this.
Great. Share with us what inspired you to join this project and what inspired you to write your chapter.
Yeah, I've had a mission for a good while to communicate to more people. I've run my podcast for almost 6 years now. I've trained all over the North America, and it just was the logical next step to be able to reach more people to really help. And so when we connected on this book project, it was just a simple decision to say, yes, I want to be involved because again, the ability to help more people.
I love it. And I love linguistics. I'm a neurolinguistic programming trainer. And so this is right up my alley. So, your whole chapter is about the fact that your words can change the results that you get in life. And one of the ones I love is you talk about going between the word interested and open. So without revealing your whole chapter, talk about that shift in words and maybe give an example of how that's helped you, like a specific example of how that's helped in your situations.
Sure, absolutely. That's one of the one of my favorite ones because it's the easiest to recognize and to start thinking in the terms of the awareness. I'm a huge advocate for awareness moments. It's different than learning a new skill and having to practice because awareness moments happen when just an instant switch flips in your brain and you have to intentionally go backwards to get your past results. And so I love those moments of instant change to be able to see the future. So when we are talking, for example, this open versus interested, it's foundationally has to do with just the background of what the word means, right? So when I'm asking a good example, and this is what I actually use as an example a lot. It's when we're selling anything, the whole. In fact, let's take a real simple example. Say it's a kid knocking on the door to sell popcorn for Boy Scouts, right? Here's a super easy example, but I know everyone can apply this to whatever they do. which is door opens, somebody's like, hey, what's going on here? He's like, are you interested in buying popcorn? Versus, hi, we're raising money for the Boy Scouts. I have several things here that you could purchase. Would you be open to see what we're selling? So would you open to hear what we're raising money for? Because no one wants to be perceived as closed-minded. Everyone wants to be perceived as open-minded. And the other side of that same coin is no one can be interested in something they don't know anything about. So to ask someone if you're interested before you've had the opportunity to educate on what it is they're supposed to be interested in, it just instantly closes the door and causes resistance. But everyone will always say, yes, I'm open to more information, or yes, I'm open to hear more. And so that's just a really simple example that kind of emphasizes this, the importance of how one word shift can change everything in the results.
I love that. And, you know, in the field of NLP, there was a study years ago of what some people call the best salespeople on the planet, which are military recruiters, right? They're not just closing a sale for money, they're closing a sale for your life, literally or figuratively, right? And they found the same thing with the word fair, right? Mm-hmm. Would it be fair to say, and most people are not willing to say that they're unfair. And so it's one of those kind of, like you said, it's an opening word that keeps the conversation open. I love that. Such a cool shift in life, and it's such a simple, right? You don't have to make these complex. You don't have to memorize these big scripts. You know, what would you say? Like, there are a lot of people out there that are advocates of scripting sales, and some people that are advocates of being, you know, more off the cuff. What's your take on that?
I feel like it has to be a hybrid. Scripting is very crucial, especially. So let's say it this way: the analogy for this, if somebody is, for example, a musician, right? You learn your instrument, you learn scales, you practice all these things, but all of the experts say you learn it to forget it. You learn the structure to be able to make music. It's the same thing with scripting, the same thing with sales. Yes, we have to learn the framework. I call the script the skeleton of the sales system. The script is what's going to get you from point A to point B. However, then a layer above that is where it comes in, and we're going to fill in all of the, you know, all the organs in the skin, and we're going to put the rest on the salesperson, you know, the sales figure that we're creating of our system. And that is where this hybrid idea needs to come in. So yes, understanding scripts and following the script, but also we've got to understand the power of our communication, the power of our tonality, the power of our language, the power of body language, because we all know the communication is 15% of communication is the actual words we say, and the 85% is everything else.
Yeah, and that's so powerful, you know, that I find that, you know, if you get on the phone with somebody, right, like a phone salesperson calls you, you can always tell when they're really not interested in their job, because they're like a robot, and you can tell they're reading a script, you know. So you don't want to be scripted, but on the other hand, there are patterns that work. Right. And so once those patterns are documented, you need some sort of a system to follow. Why have every person on your sales floor following, you know, their own philosophy or whatever?
Absolutely,
when you can replicate that. So one of the things that I'm fond of saying is, you know, if you want to be great as a salesperson, the first person you have to learn to sell is yourself. Right. 100%. What would you say is the role of that kind of internal you know, being able to convince yourself that the product is worth it? And, you know, when I go into sales situation, I am certain that person is going to buy. Whereas some people might go, but if I'm certain and they don't buy, doesn't that make me look silly or whatever? Like, what do you think the role is of the internal personal development on sales?
Oh, it's everything. So every single podcast that I end it with work to become someone worth buying from, or be someone worth buying from. Ooh. Because, you know, at the end of the day, you know, that's it. You know, when I was running sales teams back at the heating and air company years ago, we had a huge full-length mirror next to the door, every single door that exited the building, with a big sign above it that said, "Would I buy from me today?" Ooh. And that's the very first thing that we covered before anybody walked out of the building, is make sure that you would buy from yourself today. And that really starts inside, because we all know there's, you know, every top performer in every industry, success leaves clues. So all we have to do is see what they're doing and watch their habits. And this proves it very true that it has way less to do with the script and the sales skills and product knowledge, because you can take a top performer from any industry, pluck them out of that industry and drop them in another industry. And I can guarantee you in a very short amount of time, they're going to be at the top of the leaderboard again, knowing nothing about the product that the new product they're selling. They're learning it along the way. Why is that? It's because there's someone worth buying from, someone of character, someone who has their nutrition, their fitness, their relationships, their spiritual life, their personal growth, all of the other main components that make it an individual. Those things are in order. The sales skills and the rest and the communication, you learn it along the way. But it all has to be done together. It's a constant journey. If success is a destination, draw a circle in the ground. Let's just go there. But it's not. It's a journey along the way, and that's part of it. And so that's why we have to start inside with ourselves. That formula is be, do, have, right? Be that person, do the work, and then have the thing.
Yeah, it's so powerful. So one of the things you talk about in there is that part of that internal work that you do is internal dialogue. So what is the role of the internal dialogue? And if somebody has a bad internal dialogue, what do you suggest for them to change it?
One of the first things that I suggest to change it is to start asking yourself, because so many times with negative internal dialogue, one of the things that always comes up is the word can't. I can't do this, or the focus is on some circumstance outside of their control that causes them to just get absolutely stagnant and stationary and frozen. And so self-talk is so important to overcome that. The most important words you say to yourself is not the script. It's what you say to yourself between your appointments that's right here in your head. And so switching the word, the I can't to how can I, or just adding I can't yet at the end will start our brain to open our brain up to find creative ways to solve the problem. So that's kind of the first part. But then beyond that, it's not hard to a lot of times people are resistant to it just because it feels uncomfortable, but literally just sitting and start with gratitude. Gratitude is the number one thing to get started when we're talking about our self-talk. There are thousands of things in your life you can be grateful for, but we're just kind of choosing not to look at them. But when we focus on gratitude first, then we start to feel better about our situation in our life. And then we can start to focus in on the better self-talk of, I am good enough. I do have the skills. I may not have all the skills yet, but I'm on the way. So then we can start the self-talk cycle for positivity.
I love it. I remember when I was homeless at 19 years old, one of the temporary jobs that I got was telemarketing. The one and only time that I ever worked a telemarketing job. And one of the interesting things is there was a guy, everybody kind of sat at desks. There was a guy who had like a cubicle. And he was like the top sailor, whoever the top salesman was got that cubicle. And all of the people on the floor complained. He has a better script than we do. He's getting better leads than we do. Why is it that, he's always got these advantages? Well, one day they actually swapped the leads. They gave everyone else on the floor the leads he got, and he got the leads everyone else on, and he still crushed it.
Absolutely.
So one of the things about this that I find fascinating is, most of the time when people focus on sales, they focus on in-person sales. I think in-person sales gives you a lot of advantages, right? Because you can see how people are, expressing and things like that. These days, how do you train people if they have to do sales over Zoom or maybe even sales over the phone?
Yeah, that's a big one. And it's a huge shift, especially started happening in 2020 with the pandemic. Everybody moved to virtual. And one of the main things is we have to, when you're doing that type of sales, you have to be, I don't tell people to be someone they're not, but be you times 10. Whatever, this is the super quick ninja trick real fast. One of the things is just bigger. We have to be a bit bigger for it to come across on the screen as if it were the same in person. The other side of this is have a plan. You have to have a plan or a system especially when you're virtual, because when you're in a home and you're doing in-person sales, it's much more difficult to, they can't just kick you out as easy as all they have to do is just hit power or shut the computer. So having a serious plan and more importantly, communicating, here's the plan that we're going to cover today. First, we're going to do this, and getting permission-based for everything. Is it okay if I go over with the plan with you today? Absolutely perfect. I want to be efficient and help you best. So we're going to do this, 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 and this. And then towards the end, tell you what, we're going to work together to come up with a solution that'll solve your problem the best. Sounds good? Sounds good. And so having an agenda and giving it, that's it.
That's right. All right. We're here promoting the book, Inner Revolution, Embracing Change to Achieve Greatness. Sam is a co-author of the book, as well as me and 19 other people. We're giving $1,000 in gifts if you help us and buy the book before 11:59 p.m. tonight. Help us get to #1. And the way to do that is to go to innerrevolutionbook.com. Sam, we got about a minute left. So if people want to connect with you or follow you, I know you said you have a podcast, or if they want to work with you one-on-one, what are the best ways for them to do that?
Absolutely. So Close It Now is consistent branding across everywhere. You can find me on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook. I have a Facebook group where I do a ton of free training in the Facebook group. So search for Close It Now. And then email me, sam@closeitnow.net. You can just get in touch with me directly. And of course, the website is closeitnow.net.
And maybe 15 seconds, talk a little bit about your podcast.
Yeah, the podcast has run for 6 years. It is for anyone who has sales conversations. The focus is trades and home services, but everyone benefits. I've had plenty of other industries listen. It's the psychology of communication.
Beautiful. Love it. Thank you so much, Sam. It's been a pleasure.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. I'm excited to bring on our next author, second to last for the day. And this is Donna Berenier. Donna is a grief and spirituality coach with over 15 years of experience dedicated to supporting individuals through loss and spiritual growth. She's the founder of Our Sacred Journeys. She provides compassionate guidance for those navigating grief and transformation. With certifications in hypnotherapy and coaching and a certificate in thanatology, she offers tailored strategies for healing. Donna inspires clients to rediscover their gifts and to face life's challenges with resilience and grace. Her chapter is called Transformation Through Loss, and she explains how experiences of loss can serve as catalysts for personal growth and transformation. This chapter emphasizes the importance of acknowledging and processing emotions to facilitate healing and resilience. She encourages readers to shift their perspective on loss, viewing it as an opportunity for discovering new strengths and insights. Donna, welcome.
Well, thank you. I'm grateful to be here.
It's great to have you here. So let's start with, what inspired you to join this project and for you to write your chapter?
What really inspired me was the title of the book, and Inner Revolution, Embracing Change to Achieve Greatness, speaks so much to my heart and the importance of knowing that change is really an inside job. And when I broke down the definitions of inner and revolution, it meant an inside change or an inside job. And I love the work that we've been doing through Transform Destiny and through my continued studies, and to be a part of this project just spoke to me on so many different levels, starting from the title of the book to the opportunities to share about my passion in healing and resilience through grief and loss, and how we can achieve the greatness that is the truth of who we all are. And that definition of greatness is different to each of us, which I also liked it being in the title. So I'm very grateful to be a part of this project, and it's definitely been a journey and an exciting one at that.
I love it. I love that you talk about the truth of who we are. Why is it that you think that most people don't know the truth of who we are? It should be the most basic human knowledge of who we are internally. And I feel like some people are the most unqualified to know who they are for some reason. Why is that?
I think we get clouded. We have so many things going on in our world. We're trying to figure out who we are, and we don't know who that is, especially when we're grieving. We wear masks quite often. And I think we do that in the world because we want to be safe. And by a mask, I mean a happy face. We aren't sure what it is we want. We don't know what it is that is important to us, because we listen to the outside stories, what we see in other people. You'll see in my book, I wrote, one of my teachers, Reverend Juanita, said, it's important not to compare our insides to someone else's outsides, which means we may have stuff going on within us that we don't understand, but other people we feel has everything together because of how they're looking. And so then we don't take the time to figure out who we are. We think we should already know what it is, and we don't, so we fake it. And I think that gets stripped away a lot when we're grieving, because we have to figure out who we are again. That's the core of the whole grieving process that allows transformation to unfold, is to figure out who that person is, and meaning us.
Yeah. In your chapter, you mentioned that loss can be a catalyst for transformation. And a lot of people would not understand that, right? People are so fearful of loss. And some people, they haven't lost yet in their lives. Can you share a personal experience where significant loss led to unexpected personal growth for yourself?
Yes, I was dating somebody many, many years ago, and he died unexpectedly. He was in his 40s, so I really didn't expect the loss. And I had to refigure out who I was after that relationship ended, because I was a totally different person. I had a small child at home, and I was trying to and I just started my grief training journey. So I really had to figure out who I was and how I wanted to be in the world. Did I want to keep doing these studies that were near and dear to my heart, or was it going to be too hard dealing with it personally and professionally? And through different job changes in my life, those are losses. We don't realize that, but job changes are loss. It's not just a death of a loved one. It's anytime we experience any kind of a change. So I really kind of had to pick up the pieces and figure out who I was and how I wanted to be in the world. And that's kind of what is the closest one that I could think of to share right now.
Yeah. It's again, it's not something that I think people would be, that is self-evident to people.
It's not.
When people suffer a loss, so often, they think, I just need to go back to work. I just need to distract myself. Some people turn to, substances or other behaviors. And in your mind, when people do those kinds of things, what does that do for the grief?
It keeps it stuck. It's called delayed grief. When we use, there's different coping skills. There's positive and negative coping skills. And when we use distraction, or maybe drugs or alcohol, or don't want to face the loss and just try and fill our time with things, it can keep us, I call it being on the hamster wheel. It can keep us stuck, and we just keep going. And it can be hard to get off that hamster wheel. But something else will happen in our life that will make it come front and center to us, that we have to deal with it. It could be realizing that we're getting angry at the smallest things, like going through a checkout line and the price we thought something is more expensive, and we just really get mad. That's the safe outlet for us to express that anger. When we start realizing some of those emotions that are coming up, we tend to look for some kind of support to realize we can't keep doing this. And hopefully people will look for ways to heal before they get to that point, because it can be frustrating and overwhelming for many.
Yeah. You talk in your book about something called the Goldilocks experience in the healing process. Can you elaborate on what that means?
Yes, that is something that a term I coined, because I realized that in working with grievers. I was a hospice chaplain for 16 years, and I've been doing grief for a lot longer than that. And in realizing that sometimes people get frustrated because the first thing they do to heal their grief doesn't work. And if you remember the story of the Goldilocks and the Three Bears, the porridge is too hot, too cold, just right. The bed is too hot, too cold. Too hard, too soft, just right. The rocking chair is too big, too small. And grief can feel that way sometimes when we're refiguring out who we are. We might think this is an area that will work towards our healing, and it's not who we are. So then it's important to try other things. And we get frustrated with that, I think, sometimes, until we realize this is okay. It's normal. This is a common experience for people as we're walking through the grieving process, and we don't have to do it alone. But I think sometimes we think, oh, it's going to be in this avenue, or it's going to be in that avenue, or I'll pick up this book, or I'll do this writing exercise, or whatever it might be. Or we start looking at different faith traditions, something to figure out how we can identify ourselves in a new way. And when we start realizing the Goldilocks experience is common and it's okay, I think we can relax and move into that process in a more focused way. If I think that's the right word to use.
Yeah, I know, I've suffered 3 big losses in my life. So I've kind of been through my 3. First one was I avoided. completely avoided. It was my grandmother, and when she passed away, my grandmother was terminally ill, and so she took her own life because she didn't want to go through the suffering of that. And my views at the time was that was unforgivable. And so I buried it. I buried it for years and years. And then years later, my best friend passed. And that was one of those ones that I resisted. And then when my grandfather passed, I just decided to fully sit in and feel those emotions.
Yeah.
And, everybody processes grief in different ways. But for me, that process of let's not avoid it. Let's just confront it. Let's acknowledge it and sit in it and process it was so much healthier than the first
Yeah.
way I did it, for sure.
Well, you learned through those other two experiences. Avoiding it and being able to sit in it is hard, but it's important to do.
Yes. So important to do. And what would you say to people who say, well, I just don't have time for that?
It's kind of like when you get sick, if you're not too healthy, if don't have enough time to eat healthy, the illness will slow you down enough to have to focus on it. Do that beforehand. You'll find the time. And it doesn't need to take a lot of time. If you can spend some time with journaling or going for walks and reflecting on what's going on, you'll find the time to process it. I know in our world, it's busy, 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 do, check this box, this to-do list off. Find the time where your body will make you. There's 5 areas that grief can manifest in us, and one of them is physical, by getting sick.
Yes.
And that's your body's way of saying you need to slow down and process this. So if you can, and you have the inner strength to do it, the resilience that I know we all have, find that time before your body says you're going to have to do it, because your body will speak up. We feel things everywhere.
Your body will find the time for you. That's such a powerful lesson.
Yeah. We're holistic. We're mind, body, and spirit, and the body is entangled in all of that.
Yeah. Your chapter mentions practices like meditation, journaling, visualization, tools like that. There are a lot of people that might say, that's just silly stuff. That's not going to help me. What would your answer be to them?
My answer to them is you've probably already done it and didn't realize it. When you go for a walk, maybe you like to spend some time hiking. That's a walking meditation. If you spend some time with a gratitude list, a lot of people do a gratitude list and say things they're grateful for. That's a form of meditation. There's different ways that we incorporate these activities that we don't even realize we're already doing it. And that's the powerful part of it. It's when we become cognizant and take the responsibility to do those things that that it'll be a more powerful journey for you.
Yeah. And again, the time that you're going to take on that is it's a good investment, right? Because you don't want that time taken later. It's not pleasant. So you talk about something really interesting, embracing the mindset of expectancy versus expectations. Those words sound so similar. What's the difference, and how can someone practice and implement this?
An expectation is something needs to show up as a certain way for us to realize it's happened. For example, if I have an expectation of seeing a green cup, but a blue cup keeps showing up, I'm getting that answer to whatever it is. It's just showing up in a different way, but my expectation needs to show up this way. But if I have an expectancy of good, then I'll be on the lookout for something to show up in a way that I may not even realize. So having an expectancy of something, of good, of healing, it gives that invitation to show up in ways that we didn't expect. But if I have an expectation that must show up a certain way, then it may never show up because it's not showing up in the way that I thought it should. So we're missing out on some good in our life and healing and greatness.
Yeah. And what would you say to the idea, the belief that some people have that I have to grieve to honor the person who I lost? That's the way I show I love them, is to sit in this, is to have this grief.
Grief is a normal process, but what it doesn't need to be is that our life is over. And I think that's where the misconception comes in on grief. Grief is a normal process. We all experience it in different ways throughout our life, but it doesn't have to stay in that place. We can continue to move on in honor of our loved one. If you can think about it as I'm grieving, grief is a response to love. I'm grateful for the love I had in my life, or I'm grateful for whatever it is that we're grieving the loss of. And now, how do I pay it forward in my life in honor and remembrance of that loved one? Am I going to complete a dream that maybe they had that I can bring to fruition? Am I going to do something in my life in honor of them and continue their memory in amazing ways? Whether it's to send out their recipe in a Christmas card or holiday card, or to be an important part of our world in memory of our loved one. There's ways we can grieve and continue to heal and move on. We don't have to stay stuck. That's a choice in my feelings.
So we're here promoting our new book, Inner Revolution, Embracing Change to Achieve Greatness. Donna is a co-author with me and 19 other co-authors. And so Donna, if people want to follow you, if they want to connect with you, if they want to work with you one-on-one, what's the best way for them to do that?
My website is oursacredjourneys.net. You can find me on Facebook, Donna Baranye, or Our Sacred Journeys. I also have a page. You can also find me on Instagram and YouTube. I do have a YouTube channel.
And do you only work with people who are in the process of grieving, or how else do you help people?
I work with people who are wanting to make a shift in their life, that want to do something new, find a new part of who they are. I do focus a lot on grief and loss, but I also work with others who are wanting to have a change in their life and are looking for holistic avenues to do so.
I love it. All right. Thank you so much, Donna. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
And I'm excited to bring on our last but not least, our final author of our interviews, Joanne Long.
Hi.
And so Joanne is the founder of and CEO of Center for Lift, LLC, with over 5 years of experience empowering women to achieve their entrepreneurial dreams. She specializes in guiding women in the second half of their life to create sustainable businesses for a comfortable retirement and a meaningful legacy. She helps clients release negative emotions and limiting beliefs to uncover their true potential and their true purpose, and to monetize their legacies. As an adventurous spirit, which I know she is, I actually rode in a Razor with her through the hills one time, driving straight up dirt hills. She is an adventurous spirit. She is expanding her real estate portfolio and pursuing student pilot certification, embodying lifelong learning and love for travel. In her chapter, Living My Vision Board Life, Joanne shares her journey from low self-esteem to personal empowerment through the use of vision boards. After meeting her soulmate, Craig, she discovers the power of visualization, of visualizing her dreams and manifesting them into reality. By embracing personal development and personal growth, she transforms her life, achieving numerous personal and professional milestones, including founding the Center for Lift. So Joanne, welcome.
Thank you, Michael.
It's great to have you here.
Yeah.
So tell me what inspired you to join this project and to write your chapter.
Oh, I was very inspired to do this, and at this time, because I'm writing my larger book, that this particular chapter is just one of about 10 chapters that I'm writing. And in those chapters, as in this one, I explain and teach what has happened to me in my life. And that so much of it is based on what I put in my vision board back in 1995. I have been through a lot of life already, a lot of changes, and I just needed to take control of my own life, figure out who I was, what I wanted. And in doing that, I put together a vision board. The great thing that has evolved since then, and one of my great pleasures, is marking off the pictures that have come true. So I can see and realize unequivocally that miracles happen in my life all the time. The original pictures that I put in my vision board, I had no idea that it would come true. I had faith that it would because of the examples that were said in this book that I read and the suggestions that I took to do the board. And I put all different types of things that I dreamed about that I might want to do or might want to become, or what I might want to have. And what I didn't realize at that time, though, as I know now, I had to become different. I had to think differently. I had to look at life differently. For me, in order for me to get the things that I imagined and in my dreams. One of those, in 20 2002, I had put together a different version or added to my original, and I'd done another one as well, done an update. I put a man in a 3-button suit with stripes and a yellow tie with diamonds, diamond shapes. And in my chapter, I go in much more detail, but it also describes how I met my husband. And it was all very magical. And I wasn't consciously aware at the time of what was happening when I met him. And it's about 2 weeks later that I went and looked at my vision board and realized that it was him, based on our conversation, based on different things that we had told each other and shared. I knew it was him. So that's just one example. And I have many, many more. And it's just very magical. And the biggest thing that has changed is me. I changed how I looked at life, like I said. I also changed some of my internal dialogue, what I said to myself. I decided that I mattered, that what I thought mattered. And in the past and when my childhood, I never had the sense that was true. And I wanted to take control of my life and my destiny. I'm very much a faith-based person. God is very important to me, spirituality, my faith. And so I feel as if I partnered with God for what I wanted my life to look like. And I would always say, this or better, Lord. This is all I can imagine, the pictures and the things that I put on my board. But I was very open to living my life as He had designed for me, or why I was on earth in the first place, what my mission and purpose it was. And within that, how could I lead others to Christ and how I could monetize my gifts and talents. And within that, it has evolved in such a way that I have started my business, and so I can help others do the same. So that's been a big mission of mine, and I'm very appreciative of having this opportunity to be a part of this book. And I really loved the Inner Revolution title. Feel like I've been in a fight and have my own inner revolution for most of my life.
Yeah.
As a child growing up in a household, a middle child of 5, I just never felt like I belonged in my family of origin. And I want a community that I feel like I belong in, and that there's like-minded people, and that we can all be on a mission together. And that's what I'm striving for.
I love it.
The vision board was a huge, huge tool that I've used repeatedly to get to where I am.
Now, there's probably are a significant number of people out there that don't know what a vision board is. So what's your best explanation of a vision board and why people should use one?
Okay, vision board is where you sit quietly by yourself and you imagine all the things that you would like to have, or what you would like to become. And I put pictures that I cut out of magazines, and I put different things such as a woman playing golf, going on a cruise ship, and then I'd travel. I did the Mediterranean Sea with ports of call that the cruise ship would take me to. I put an American Airlines jet, commercial jet, which just meant that's how I would travel to get to the places where I wanted to go. And I put scuba diving. I put food. I put different ways to make money, because you need the money to pay for what you get. So, and what you do to become, that's very important. The different streams of income for me was writing books, and also investing in real estate and having my own real estate company. And all that's happened, all that's true. And another thing that I have on my vision board was sailboats and small airplanes and the California way of life. And I'm a farm girl from McKinney, Texas. So thinking I would live in California one day was really a far out in my imagination.
Mhm.
And I've lived on a sailboat in California. And so it's just been an amazing journey. And I have so much more life to live and things to accomplish. And that's one of the reasons why I'm doing this.
Now, what would you say to people? And I'm just bringing this up because I know there are some people who are going to think this. What would you say to people that are like, this just sounds like some voodoo? Like, what is this? Why does it work, in your opinion?
I think it works, and I know it works because we are designed to dream. A lot of people don't. They've given up on their dreams, or they don't think they deserve anything good to happen to them, and they just settle for what they've got, and that's good enough. But that's not exactly what myself is here on earth to do. I have a far bigger mission and a far bigger call, and I need money for that. I need a story to tell about my faith, and some people may think it's all woo-woo, but I can tell you that it's very scriptural, and I can tell you the scripture verses.
Yeah.
So you're basically living the life that God put you here, because he's the one that gives you the imagination and the desires. There's a reason why you dream and what you dream. So I think I know I'm in alignment with what my gifts and talents are that he gave me. And it's up to me to figure out how to put all those pieces together. I can pray and I can wring my hands and I can worry and I can want, but I need to take action, and I need to become the person that it takes to do big things.
Yeah.
Being a Texas farm girl, big things were not part of how I was raised, and I wanted more for that. Whenever I did my first vision board, I was a single mom, and I knew that I needed to change the generational curses in the direction of how I was raised, so that he could have a better life and a better chance and become different himself. And I knew that started with me as his mother. And I want that for other people, that to have that influence in their children's lives or their grandchildren's lives, of inspiring them to become something great. I think that's the biggest key, is to become great, whatever that means to a person. To find the greatness within them and do the things they need to do to get out of their own way with their limiting beliefs and their negative emotions in order to do it, and to know that that's part of your journey on earth.
And I will say, for anybody else out there who's a believer, who's a person of faith, right? In the Bible, it says, "For as he thinketh in his heart, so is he." To me, that scripture right there validates this idea, because this isn't like a lot of people think, oh, is this like like witchcraft or something? Like, I've heard people say all kinds of crazy things about vision boards. What a vision board is a tool to allow you to focus your thoughts.
That's right.
Right? You sit and you intensely focus your thoughts when you're creating it, and then you put it up in your environment, and it's a reminder of your thoughts as you go forward.
Well, it's even bigger than that too, Michael. It can be your life plan. Where you have it, you visualize it. And I'm a very visual person. I need to be able to see in my mind's eye or in my world where it is that I want to go. And because you can be allowed to be led by others and be a victim, or you can take charge of your own life and map it out. And that's what real leaders do. And that's what I am. I'm leading other people to do the same thing. And I wasn't put on this earth to be ordinary. And people aren't put on this earth to be ordinary. And I want to have greatness in my life. And that requires me to be great. In whatever capacity that is for me and for other people, that's the key to have a very fulfilled life. And I want to build a legacy and leave generational wealth. And that doesn't happen for ordinary people.
No, it doesn't.
And so I want to build the kingdom of God, help with that, help people be that. And the biggest part of my call is to help Christians be better at being a Christian. And if that so means to me on the basis of it is to get out of your own way. So you allow God to do what He wants you to do. Because we can resist and not do it, and it doesn't always go so well.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I've been a hypnotherapist for 24 years, and I've had people try to tell me hypnotherapy is evil. And my answer to that is God gave you your mind. You should know how to work it. Right. And whether you're working with another hypnotherapist, you're not giving up control when you work with somebody else, or you're using self-hypnosis. You're using a tool that God gave. It's like saying your arm is evil because it could kill somebody. Right. But God gave you your arm, and it's your choice to use it for positive or negative. I love it. So Joanne, if people want to connect with you, or if they want to follow you, if they want to work with you one-on-one, what's the best way for them to do that?
My company is Center for Lift, and Lift stands for Live Intentionally for Transformation. My website is centerforlift.com. You can email me at cs@centerforlift.com. And I'm on Facebook, and I have a Facebook page and Instagram for Center for Lift. And I would love the opportunity to meet you and see if we would be a good fit to work together.
I love you. And if somebody is interested in working with you, tell them a little bit about 30 seconds or so about what you can help them with.
But like I said earlier, so much that I do is help people with their limiting beliefs and their negative emotions, because that's what rules us unless you decide to be different. We have a layers of the mind that I study and teach. And within that, most people are running on autopilot. They're dealing with things that happened to them in their past, and they haven't overcome or gotten out of the rat race of dealing with that. And so it keeps them playing small. So I help people overcome that.
I love it. Thank you so much, Joanne. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks, Michael.
All right. So we are wrapping up here our virtual book tour, our second day. This is the book right here. This is the book you want. Inner Revolution, Embracing Change to Achieve Greatness. It is currently on sale. We launched yesterday. We have skyrocketed up the rankings, but we're still not at number one. And we want to get a positive book with positive messages in it to number one. So the launch event ends tonight at 11:59 p.m. Pacific. That's December 8th today. If you get the book before then, for just $6.89, it's the cheapest we could make it, guys. We literally couldn't make it any cheaper. We took all of our profit out of it, so Amazon is they're the only ones that get any money, right? We took away all of the price excuses to not get it. For $6.89, you get not only $1,000 in valuable gifts from myself and my co-authors. When I say valuable, I'm talking about courses. I created a 2-hour course that if I were to sell it, I would have sold it for $147 on how to get out of your comfort zone, how to eliminate the limiting beliefs that hold you back. We've got audio programs. We've got ebooks. We've got even recorded hypnosis sessions, all kinds of valuable gifts that come only if you buy it today. If you buy it Monday, tomorrow, or any day after that, you don't get those gifts. But there's an added bonus. You get the launch gifts also inside the book in each chapter. At the end of each author's chapter where the bio is, there's also another gift that every author has put in. And all of those are valued at $20 a piece, $50 a piece as well. So that's over $1,000 in chapter gifts. So if you buy it today for $6.89, you're going to get $2,000 worth of value plus a book that'll change your life. A lot of people have been asking, is there a Kindle version? There is not a Kindle version at the moment. The reason for that is, the reason for our launch is to get this book to number one. Kindle sales do not count in getting us to number one. So what happens is if we have a Kindle, then people will go there, they buy the Kindle instead of the paperback, and it doesn't help us, right? That's the whole reason we're bribing you, right? With the $1,000 in launch gifts is to get us to number one. So even if you want a Kindle version, we'll release a Kindle version eventually. And usually that Kindle version is free for people who have Kindle Unlimited, if you have that. But even if you want the Kindle version, please support us. It's less than $7, and you'll get so much value out of it. It's just the course that I created, right, is worth at least $150 in my opinion. And again, most of the other authors, right, the benchmark was we all wanted to provide at least $50 worth of value in each gift that we gave. Most authors exceeded that. So lots and lots of value. Heck, throw the book away. Give it to someone that needs it if you don't care about the book, but the gifts, so much value in that. And it'll help us as well. It's a win-win-win. So head on over to innerrevolutionbook.com. That's where you can get it today before midnight. That'll direct you over to Amazon, but there's certain steps you have to do to get it. So don't go straight to Amazon, please. Go right to innerrevolutionbook.com, click the green button that says get it now, and follow the 3 steps there to order the book and then claim your gifts. Other than that, it's been amazing getting to know all the authors and hearing about their chapters and why they wrote them and all the wonderful tips. There's so much more value packed into the books here. So go get a copy. Go get 10 copies. Probably 10 people you know who need a change in their life. And other than that, thank you so much for supporting us and for hanging out. And I will talk to you soon. Hakalau. Thanks.